This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, finally we are here in the session. Welcome to MLOps Specialization Program, the course demo. So this session is going to be for next 2 hours. So make sure you stay till end of this particular program as I'm talking. So you can able to download a free ebooks, a premium MLOps ebooks only if you stay till end of this particular program. And we have arranged an awesome demo on top of AWS. We have built into an MLOps pipeline. So you can observe that. We're going to show you in a real time how to deploy your ML models. And more than that, so I'm going to show you the next 10 years, how does the future looks like with MLOps on your resumes. Okay, let's get started without wasting much of our time. So let me just start navigating my slides here. So before that, a quick intro about me, obviously, right? I'm going to spend 2 hours with you guys. So you just need to know who am I. So probably you should able to see me in a camera. Hey folks, this is Sharat Kumar from Cyton Technologies. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. So I will be your trainer for next 2 hours. Okay, so I'm a founder and CEO of Cyton Technologies. So basically we are into two kind of stuff: corporate retail training and services. So personally, let's say anything related to the cloud platform, AWS, Azure, GCP, or anything related to ML. So we are the experts outside. So we help organizations to migrate to the cloud platform, building up prototypes for them on top of MLOps and more. And I have trained personally more than 5,000 plus working professionals like you, working in a lot of different organizations. I've got a range of let's say 1x to 100x salaries today. So please make sure you stay till end of this particular program so you can able to enjoy this MLOps session. So let's get started. So I'm going to mute my disable my camera, otherwise you'll be having my face feed towards the left side. Okay, perfect. So let's get started now. Perfect. So what are the highlights? What are we going to spend? Let's say we're going to spend a 2 hours valuable time of yours in this three topics today. So we're going to talk about these three important things. So what is really MLOps is, and what it takes to master MLOps for you guys, and how does a job opportunities looks like for MLOps. So what does the future looks like for MLOps? Okay, so let's get started. So before we getting started with this particular program, I just need to understand my audience better. So because I'm going to spend a valuable 2 hours of yours with you guys, so I need to understand much better. So let's try to understand much better of you guys. Let's say if I know more about you guys, I can able to deliver the content pretty much in more quality. So please go ahead and use a chat window. Try to describe yourself. So you might be joining from various different countries and places. Plus, but please try to describe. So are you? So what kind of a work that you do? Are you a student? Are you a working professional? In case if you're a working professional, what are you? Just try to mention it in the chat window. Just mention if you're a data engineer. I'm a data engineer. Just mention you if you're a data scientist. Please do mention it in the chat window. Let me try to understand. Let me try to get some juice out of it, right? So then I can able to deliver this content pretty much awesome. So here we have a first person messaging. He says, Thomas, I'm a data analyst. Here we have Shailab, he says, is a data scientist in generative AI. Hey, thanks for joining. Here we have Jeevan Raj. He says, I'm a senior analyst. Awesome. Ranjan says he's a machine learning engineer. Bhaskar. Okay, we have Bhaskar here working in MNC company. That's awesome. And then we have Dinu, machine learning engineer, 1 year of experience. Noida. Awesome. Thanks for joining. Avinash is an MTech in data science engineering, currently working in a developer, DevOps. Perfect. You're a DevOps engineer. Bhaskar says he's a software engineer. Then we have Sashwan says, data enthusiast student, awesome, thanks for joining. Muhammad says, I'm a Unix admin in the cloud, perfect. So doing Java, senior developer manager, awesome. Sachin says is a .NET developer, etc. So Varun says is looking for a job in data field, that's awesome. So Lakshmi says is a senior analyst, that's perfect. So here we have Jitender working in SAP for 13 years, switching to data science, that's awesome. So here we have Hamid. Hey, Hamid, senior data scientist. I guess I know Hamid. Okay, perfect. So Dinesh, DevOps engineer. We have a data engineers here. Jitendra Reddy. Rohit says change manager. That's awesome. Dushantini we have here working as a statistical consultant, more into data science. That's awesome. Vishwanath says is a data science enthusiast. That's awesome. Perfect. So we have Omar, machine learning engineer. That's awesome. That's awesome. So a lot of machine learning engineers, a lot of people from DevOps background, a lot of people from data engineering background. That's awesome. You know that we have a awesome audience today. So let's get started with this particular program without making much delay. Okay. So this session is going to be for next 2 hours. Okay. Make a time. Okay. Let's get started. Okay, perfect. So why am I displaying this particular picture, which is a beautiful picture, right? Here is a task for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to provide you a 10 seconds time. That's it, 10 seconds. Okay, here's the task. Go ahead and observe this particular picture. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Okay, go ahead, start observing this particular picture. Go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, that's perfect. So obviously it's not 10 seconds, but you know that there's nothing there to observe in this particular picture. You know what it is, right? Let me ask you some questions. Okay, use your chat window. Let's make this session more interactive. Try to describe this particular picture. So what does this picture looks like? Use your chat window, try to describe it. Here we go. Krishna says it's a dog park already, right? And we can see Avinash says people people took their pets to gardens, spending a time with the family, dogs, exercise. What an awesome description, Avinash. Here we have Venkat says following along one path itself. Okay, Bhaskar says okay, perfect. So here Dinu says the people's enjoying the park. Obviously, that's an awesome description. Okay, so that's perfect. We know that this is a picture of a park. Obviously, it's a beautiful park, and you can see a lot of trees outside and a lot of dogs, and not just a dog, but we can see that there are different breeds of a dog. The dog which is carrying a ball in his mouth, and a path where we can walk, and a lot of grasses and a lot of people's spending a time over there. But that's an awesome description. You guys did it. Okay, that's awesome. But that's not a question that I'm going to ask you guys. Let me just make some changes in my question that I'm going to ask you. Okay, my question is this: how do you know this is a picture of a park? Just imagine what I'm trying to ask. How do you know this is a picture of a park? Who thought it you, right? How do you know this is a picture of a man, and how do you know this is a picture of a woman, and how do you know this is a picture of a dog, and how do you know this is how the grass looks like, right? So who thought it you? How come you know this in the first time, right? That's a question. Try to think it and try to answer this in a chat window. You can see that Jeevan says based on the property of a picture, right? Who thought you that property of a picture? And here we know, like Avinash is asking, history saved in my mind. That's an awesome description. Okay, see, what I'm trying to point out here is pretty much simple. So today what we call it as AI, today what we call it as machine learning, artificial intelligence, right? So we are the best examples of it, isn't it? So consider that we are a biological machines each and every day. Let's say, let's try to answer it in this way. Okay, so what if, okay, just imagine, what if I take that particular picture, if I try to teach that particular picture to this newborn baby, a newborn baby is less than 1 year old, for example, right? So can that baby recognize the same exact things that you are recognized right now? No, pretty much impossible, right? So consider that a newborn baby, a barely he or she could able to recognize his mother and father, but apart from that, the baby doesn't know anything else, obviously, right? So but what's really happening? But just let's consider that a baby grows. Let's say he might be started learning how to walk, he started learning how to recognize the peoples. Consider that we as a biological machines, how we learn a data at the end of the day. So we learn a data in many different fashions. How you consume a data, that's what my question is. You consume a data through your visual eyes, right? Obviously through our eyes. We consume a data through our ears, right? You hear the things. You consume a data through a sense, someone touching you, right? For example, we each and every day we learn something, right? So we started learning from our teachers, our parents, our first teachers. We started learning learn to walk, learning to speak, start recognizing a peoples. So let's say if I try to put it like a graph, let's say if I'm trying to put this entire growth cycle of a human being as a graph, something like this. If you see, this exponentially grows up, right? So we exponent each and every day, we learn something good and we improvise in our life, right? So let's say you might go to a primary school, you might get to a high school, you might go to a college, university, you get graduated, then you might start working, you get more and more experience, and finally we expire, we die. Obviously that's not a topic for today, but what I'm trying to point out here, consider that as a biological machines, we learn data, we could now able to become more experienced in that, and we can able to make a decisions, isn't it? So consider that you as a biological machine, today you could able to make a decision for your future, isn't it? So today you have made a decision, right? So today you have decided to spend your valuable 2 hours of time with me, believing that Sharat, that's me who going to deliver a quality content for you, which is going to really helpful for you in the future, right? So basically we are the best examples. But today what human beings are doing? That's a question. So today human beings are trying to replicate the same exact things that we have learned, the way we are learning a data and we could able to make a predictions of a future. We want to teach the same exact kind of a data to this dumb machines, obviously, and we want this machine to make a predictions behalf of us, right? So let me just try to put it a very simple example, right? So we learn a data in many different fashions. Similarly, a machine can learn a data in many different fashions, but let's consider that we have some kind of a document. Let's consider it's a CSV file. Okay, there is some kind of a data in this CSV file. I want to teach this data to this machine. So once this machine understands its data, then I want this machine to make some decisions. So let's try to put it a use case here. Okay, so consider that. Okay, so let's say I'm going to talk about electricity data consumption. So what do you mean by that? So let's say I'm going to collect for the last 3 years. Consider that for the last 3 years I have collected electricity data from your home. Considering that, how much electricity you consume for last 3 years, how much electricity you consume in a spring, how much electricity you consume in a winter. Let's say I collected all the data. It may be the electricity that is consumed by a washing machine, water geyser, any electrical appliances that you have in your home. So let's say I collected all this data. Let's say I have around 30,000 data points. Let's say I have around 30,000 data points. So my goal is pretty much simple. I want to teach this data to this machine. So once this machine understands the various different patterns from it, okay, so now we can able to ask this machine to make some decisions. Let's say I'm going to ask this machine to make some forecast, saying that what's my electricity bill is going to be for next 6 months, what I'm going to pay for first month, the second month, blah blah blah, for the next 6 months, right? So what we call it as the final end product. So let's say now we take this model and we deploy it outside, we call it as a final end product, right? So otherwise, let's say I want to teach a difference between a cat and a dog, right? Say I will take a bunch of pictures of a cat, and let's say I take a bunch of pictures of a dog. Let's say I teach the difference between a cat and a dog, and once the machine learns everything from my data, so I'm going to put up a camera in front of my machine. So then I'm going to put a cat. Let's consider this a cat. Okay, this doesn't look like a cat, but let's consider it's a cat. So once a camera could able to recognize, okay, there's a cat, a machine can able to predict, okay, I figured out there's a cat in front of a camera or a dog. So what we call it as a computer vision today, right? So today we are talking about a lot of AI tools, obviously, right? So we understand today we are talking about a lot about Chat GPT, and we are talking about similar AI tools like Chat GPT, right? So what powers Chat GPT? What makes Chat GPT as an AI finally, right? So we call it as Amazon Alexa, which is AI. We call it as Google Voice Assistant, which is AI. And if you go through any LinkedIn tech pages and Instagram tech pages, you will see that each and every day there's a new tool has been introduced outside in the market. We call it as AI, which is going to transform the world. But the question is, what makes an AI? What powers AI basically? So the AI is powered by a typical workflow. So that's what we call it as ML flow. That's what exactly we're going to learn. So there is some kind of a pipelines that is running behind that AI, which is helpful for that, helpful to retrain your ML models, to release a new version of your ML models again and again, right? That's where exactly we are moving. So let's try to understand the basic architecture here. So what makes an ML project really successful? That's a question. Okay. So what's the typical workflow looks like for creating a successful ML model? How does it looks like? Okay. So here we go. Let's get started. So where do we start? We start from a data, isn't it? So everything starts from a data. So saying that, let's say where we consume a data, for example, right? So where we are consuming a data in many different fashions, right? So a machine can also consume a data in various different fashions. Okay, so consider that a machine can consume a data like a pictures. For example, your data can be a picture, your data can be a CSV file, a simple document, your data can be a simple JSON file, for example. Okay, and your data can be a simple text file, obviously. Perfect. So similarly, a way you could able to consume a data in many different fashions, a machine can also consume a data in many different fashions. Okay, so now what's the next step? Obviously the next step we call it as, okay, I'm sorry about that. So the next step we are talking about data preparation. So what is this data preparation, right? What we do as part of a data preparation. So data preparation is exactly similar like what we do in our kitchen. Okay, what we do in a kitchen. So we do cook a food. See what we do if you want to cook a food, right? So we go to market, we get some vegetables, isn't it? See what happens next. So let's say you start cleaning that vegetables, right? So we remove some unnecessary dirt, we remove unnecessary stuff, and we started putting masalas, and we start putting oil, we start cooking it, right? And we make it awesome recipe. right? That's awesome. So that's what exactly we do in a data preparation also. Yes, that's similar to that. Let's say a real-time data that is coming from your customers, that's coming from your clients, that comes with a lot of garbages. Okay, so your data will be having something called missing values. A lot of rows that you have in a table will be empty. So let's say you will be having outliers, right? So our duty here is to prepare a data. So we do prepare a data, transform a data if it is necessary. Okay, so we make a clean data. That's the pretty much concept. Okay, so once we have a clean data, then we go for experimentation process. What is this experimentation process? So this is where we use IDEs like Jupyter notebooks, for example. That's a web-based IDE where you can write some code. Otherwise, we use IDEs like Visual Studio Code, for example, again IDE where you can write some code. So why do we write a code? So this is where our data scientists, data engineers comes into the picture. So they write a script. So for what? So for example, you have some data stored somewhere else. You need to mention in that script where is your data is coming from. What is the game that we are trying to play here? We have a data. We want to teach a data to a machine. That's a concept. So, and you need to pick a machine. So let's say I might pick my own computer to teach a data. I might pick let's say the machine in a server in a cloud platform to teach a data, right? That's a concept. So like we define everything in a scripts basically. Okay, so here once we define everything, let's say we pick a machine and we have a data that is sitting in our clean data sitting in our databases. We start teaching a data to a machine. That's what we used to call it as a machine learning model training. Okay, so otherwise model training. So once what happens in this model training, a machine understands the patterns from your data. Okay, so it understands how much electricity you consume in winter and the spring. It tries to understand the pattern in that. So then once your model is ready, then we also test your model with some test data that we have kept it aside. Okay, and once your test results are satisfied, if you're really happy with the results that your model has produced, then what happens next? That's a final end product. Obviously the ML model that we're going to build, it's going to be part of a final end product. But what we do now, we want to go ahead and deploy those ML models in some kind of a server. Okay, before that we have something called model registries, because consider that you might not produce only one version of a ML model throughout the life cycle of it, because consider that how many versions of a WhatsApp has released so far. Similar to that, we might not release only one ML model, we might have multiple ML models, and we have to version that. We need to have something called a model registries. It's a tool where we're going to use it in order to version your ML models. So consider that you might have multiple versions of your ML model. You have version 1, you have version 2, version 3, blah blah blah, the n number of versions. So now let's come to the deployment part. So now as part of a deployment, I want to take the best version of ML model and I want to go ahead and deploy it. Consider that my version 3 is the best version of ML model that I have. Let's say I want to deploy this ML model. So here comes Dockerization. Maybe consider that I want to deploy my ML model and multiple possibilities are there. For example, I want to deploy my ML model on a Docker service. I want to deploy my ML model on Kubernetes service. I want to deploy my ML model on a real-time endpoint on a cloud platform. I want to deploy my ML model on a batch prediction. So there's a multiple requirements from multiple industries. Okay, so we decide. Consider that in this scenario, let's say we Dockerize our ML model and we deploy it on top of a Docker platform. See what happens after Docker's images has been deployed. So then comes your application, right? So your application developer. So now our developers comes into the picture. They build a beautiful web applications, maybe an Android applications, which with this applications you can talk to the models that has been deployed to production. As simple as that. Okay, so this is the typical workflow of building a machine learning model. Okay, a successful ML model. But what it takes to be a robust or production ready ML models, how does that pipeline looks like? We will be having a discussion throughout that. So here we have a good idea, isn't it? So we have a good idea on what is machine learning, what we're talking about. It's all about study of algorithms and mathematical models, where your computers keep on continuously improvising their performance on top of it. It's all about teaching complex mathematical models, okay, to your computer. Once your machine understands the complex mathematical models, we can ask the machine to make some predictions, decisions. And as I mentioned, let's say our data engineers and data scientists, they use various different programming languages to write a script and do the job. And again, it's not programming everywhere, because so let's say we have ML engineers, basically we call it as a deployment peoples, right? So for example, we have DevOps engineers. Usually we don't call it as DevOps engineers when ML field, we call it as ML engineers. Basically we'll talk about that one more. So now, okay, Sharad, we understand all this. Perfect. So, but what is MLOps? So still we haven't started it. What is really MLOps, right? What is this MLOps. MLOps stands for machine learning operations. Okay, so before we understanding what is MLOps, we have to understand what is the current state of machine learning in the world. So consider that today everyone talks about AI. Every industry today want to integrate AI in their businesses, and today every industries want to create their own AI. Okay, but let's try to understand what's happening in the world. What's happening, right? We need to understand. We need to have some data to decide how does your future looks like. That's what really important. And this data, it's not something random that we have designed. No, it is actually a data from official data from AWS. AI conclave happened in Bangalore, India in 2023. That's in January. Perfect. So let's get started. To understand the current state of machine learning in the world, in every organization, we have to do a time travel. Obviously, you guys like, do you like time travel? Let's go to last 10 years. I'm just kidding. Let's try to understand what just happened last 10 years ago. I'm talking about last decade. See, last decade, let's consider that early 2000, 2005, for example. That's the period that we're talking about. That's the time the buzz started. AI, data science, machine learning, right? A lot of things we are talking about. Why did it happen? Because that's a time where a lot of organizations had a lot of data sitting in their organization, but all this data doing nothing, literally nothing. So that's where they started hiring data engineers and data scientists, people who are good at statistics and probability. They started hiring them, and the ultimate focus for every organization at that particular time is just to build an ML model. But operationalizing those ML models are not in the plan. I mean, operationalizing is after though. That means no one is operationalizing or getting their ML models to production. That's where the problem comes. And today we are talking about 2023. This is where 53% of organizations, they already have a POCs which they are transforming that into production. They're deploying their proof of concepts to production. That means they started implementing their MLOps pipelines, and it takes an average of 9 months for any organization to reach that particular position. And it is expected the end of 2024, it's 75% of organizations will operationalize their ML models they are building. Otherwise, we call it as operationalizing their AI. They have ML model, now they're getting into production. We call it as AI, the final end product. That's it, as simple as that. So what do you mean? What does this data means for you? Because this is where, so today, if you consider, no organization is just looking for people who have a good knowledge in data engineering and data science, like statistics, algorithms, all this stuff. So today it is mandate that today, if you go and check any job description that is related to data scientist, data engineer, or ML engineer who is going to work for ML industry, you will see the roles related to, you will see the skills related to MLOps, what they're looking forward. But still, what is MLOps, right? That's what we are talking about. So now let's get started. What is really MLOps is about? So MLOps is basically a set of practice for collaboration and communication between the various stakeholders who are responsible for building ML models. What do you mean by that? So who will build this ML model, right? Is that someone called data scientist? Are operational professional what we're talking about? Are these people only responsible for doing the job? No, there are multiple stakeholders who are part of this particular journey. For example, there are data engineers. So data engineers build data pipelines. For any organization, data is being splitted, right? They might have a data harvesting from various different resources. Data engineers build data pipelines, do data cleaning. We have data analyst, right, who is responsible for analyzing the data, generating an insights from that particular data. So then we have data scientist. So data scientist will take a data from our data engineer. He will start building an ML model. Obviously, a data scientist builds an ML model, which is going to be part of final end product. So now, once the model is ready, then we have someone called machine learning engineer who takes the model and he deploys it to production. So machine learning engineers are basically deployment people. And then comes our developer who creates a beautiful application. So MLOps as a practice, by applying this practice, we can able to increase the quality and simplify the management process of how we build, train, and deliver and monitor your ML models in the production, basically. So what is MLOps? It's nothing but an automation that we are trying to build in order to deploy your machine learning models, deep learning models into large scale production environment, what we are talking about. Consider that. So now let's try to understand the high level view of MLOps, the high level view of MLOps, otherwise MLOps motivation. See, as MLOps, we are talking about as a discipline that's intersect between the various domains of stakeholders here. I mean, it intersects between machine learning, DevOps, and data engineering, all these intersections, what we used to call it as MLOps. So let's say this intersection of these practices, when they are coming together, it really drives the value how we build, deliver, and manage your machine learning models. See, as a MLOps discipline, it's enabled always by the core set of practices with interconnection with people, process, and technology. Then only we can come to the great MLOps practices can be implemented in an organization. Okay, that's perfect. But now let's talk about the challenges. MLOps is not simple for every organization. There's a lot of challenges in implementing MLOps for every organization. Let's try to discuss that. See, like in the process of, let's say, the process of creating and managing machine learning workflows, we can run into a lot of different challenges. For example, we know that ML model building involves multiple challenges. I mean, we have challenges in data preparation, model training, and model deployment. Let's try to dive deep into each and every stuff. See what happens in a data preparation usually, right? See what is data preparation? We have understand that already. So as part of a data preparation step, you might contain one to many tasks. Let's say, for example, we might take a raw data set and we want to eventually convert that raw data set into training data set, test data set, evaluation data set. We split a data, basically. That's what we are talking about, data preparation. So then comes model training step. So what do we do in model training step? Obviously, in your model training step, you might have some additional steps inside your model training. So whether you're doing a single model training or maybe you're running a multiple different experiments, we call it as hyperparameter tuning job. So I mean, let's say you might not train your ML model only once, because if you're not satisfied with the results, we do various different experiments by adjusting something called hyperparameters here. So let's say we might do 10 iterations, 20 iterations, who knows, until you get the good results. So consider that every iteration produce multiple ML models. Let's say we might have multiple versions of ML models here, for example, right? So now consider that you might have obtained, let's say, the one model which you feel that is better. Then we go for a model deployment. So now the model is ready. All we need to do, let's go ahead and let's try to deploy it. So in your model deployment, you might have only one step in the workflow, or it could have many tasks underneath it. So it could be deploying to the staging environment, or you want to deploy to the production environment, or you might have some different controls inside it. For example, you want to do a manual approval of your ML model. Okay, what do you mean by this? Let me just tell you in a very simplest fashion. Let's say as part of a deployment process, we might have a different environments for us to deploy. Consider that we might have something called a dev. I'm sorry, one second. Let me just pick my eraser. So we might have a multiple different environments. For example, we might have something called a dev environment, and then we might have something called a production environment. Okay, so what we do here, let's say initially, let's say if I want to deploy my ML model, let's say I'm going to deploy my version 3 of my ML model. Let's say initially I deploy my ML model to my dev environment. So I don't deploy my ML model to production environment immediately, because so my dev environment is an exact replica of a production environment here. So what happens? Initially, I deploy my dev environment. So dev environment is only for your internal team. So once I deploy my ML model to my dev environment, here comes, let's say, our data scientist or maybe any senior person, so who comes and checks this your ML model. So does it provides the insight? Does it offers the results that you're looking forward? So does it, let's say you might have set up KPIs, is that working accordingly? If you're really satisfied with the results that is produced by your dev environment, so then you go to the next step and you go ahead and you deploy your ML model to your production environment. So that's how it works. So, and again, in the process of you deploying your ML model, let's say once your model training is over, we don't directly go ahead and deploy your ML model to dev. Instead, let's say we need to have an approval process over here. So consider that we might have some approval process. Let's say if I want to deploy my ML model, I want someone to come and approve it. You want to check the results, then you want to approve it. Consider that I might have a senior data scientist, for example. I want my senior data scientist to come and approve your ML model. So before go ahead and deploy it to the production. The same process applies for your production also. We want an approval, right? So before we go ahead and deploy your ML model to production, basically. So there are a lot of different steps, lot of different dependencies has to work together. So basically to ultimately to build this and build out something that provides an iteration across the life cycle of machine learning models that you're going to build. So let's say you want to deploy your ML models to dev environment or production environment, what version that you're going to deploy, and taking care of his version numbers, the data that you used, all those stuff. So these steps involved will be complicated. Whatever steps we're talking about will be complicated and challenging. And more than that, you need to have an end-to-end traceability. So what I'm talking about that, so let's say you're trying to deploy the infrastructure here. So you're trying to deploy data preparation, model training, and model deployment infrastructure. Having end-to-end traceability is really matters. Consider that keep on monitoring the logs that has been produced by your data preparation, model training, and model deployment, and taking respective actions in case if there is any issues. Okay, so saying that, we need to talk about one more term here. So we're talking about MLOps. So right, and most of you guys have heard about something called DevOps also, right? So what is DevOps and how MLOps challenges what we are talking about, how it is similar to DevOps here, right? So we are talking about DevOps. So DevOps is all for software, right? So let's say if you want to build an automation, let's say if you want to build automation to deliver a software to production. I'm not talking about ML models here. Let's say any software, a web application, for example. So we use DevOps. It's an automation that we build in order to deliver a new version of a software. But here we have MLOps is for delivering a new version of your ML models to production. So the challenges in operationalizing ML models has some common things compared with DevOps. For example, let's say incorporating CI/CD practices, what we do follow today in DevOps, or maybe the source and version control practice that what we do follow in DevOps are common in MLOps also. But what is the CI/CD? We will talk about that one in a few minutes in the upcoming slide. So you know that what we are talking about, the CI/CD practices, right? So you know that the CI/CD tools, there are a lot of CI/CD tools, okay, that we're going to learn in this particular program. So the CI/CD tools are not necessarily built for machine learning separately, actually. So in reality, what happens, you might use different combinations of tools and integrations. Sometimes you might build a purpose-built tool for data preparation. You might have a purpose-built tool for model training. You might have a purpose-built tool for model deployment also. So all of this, you know, can be complicated and challenging. So to stitch together, so and more complicated than this, there is no golden pipeline that you can follow. So what do you mean by that? Let's say if I draft the architecture today, so not every organization can follow that particular architecture, because for them the requirements will be different. The system requirements would be different, right? So they might want to use AWS, they might want to use Azure. But what is so much common will be the steps and the core concepts that I recommend during our program, in our specialization program, will be common. Okay, but when it comes to MLOps, it's not just about CI/CD tools or source version control. So let's say the major tools when we talk about DevOps, CI/CD tools and source version control tools. But in MLOps, there's a lot of tools that we have to learn to become a specialist. So let me just tell you a small story in order to understand the workflow here. Okay, let's go back to 2019, maybe end of 2019, right? Again, let's do a time travel here. Okay, what's happening in 2019? Let's say we are all building ML models for theater owners. Let's say we are building an ML model to theater owners in order to predict the sales of a tickets. Otherwise, what I'm talking about, we're building an ML model to predict the revenue they're going to make. Okay, let's say at that particular point of time, let's say we didn't care about anything about MLOps. We didn't care about implementing any kind of an automation. See, all we believed, okay, we have a good data, we train it and we deploy it on some kind of a deployment platform, and we believe that the models are going to perfectly working fine for next 10 years. Okay, that's what our belief is. We build it and we deployed it, but your expectation didn't got true. Your model got failed in next couple of months itself, right? What would be the possible reason? Because there's no automation. So the reason would be COVID. You know what happened around 2019 end and 2020. That's where the COVID hits the world. You can see once the COVID came to the picture, no one went to theaters. Instead, we went to our homes, right? But if you see, this one more change does happen during COVID, because obviously we didn't go for theaters, but we started subscribing to OTTs. Consider that we started subscribing to Amazon Prime, Netflix, for example, other OTT platforms. See, what am I trying to point out here? Because your model, all the model predictions are being failed, it's completely accuracy less, right? So because you didn't had a monitoring tool in order to monitor your customer behavior, so what we call it as a drift, basically you didn't had a powerful tool which can able, there are model monitoring tools that we have to learn when it comes to ML. So I mean MLOps, what I'm talking about. So, and again, one more thing that you need to remember here, your data is also changing, correct? Because your customer behavior is changing. Your customers are your data at the end of the day. So because before COVID, you have one customer data. After COVID, you have another customer data. That means the customer behavior is changing. So, and again, you didn't added tools for I'm sorry, versioning a data. So possibly, in case if you're coming from a DevOps background, otherwise you have a good awareness on source and version control, you understand what's the importance of versioning your code, the code that is written by a software engineer. And when it comes to MLOps and ML, we have to version your data also. You might have a multiple versions of a data. Consider that. So let's say, just one more thing that you need to remember here. If you have multiple versions of a data, that means you will be having a multiple versions of your ML model. Once you have a multiple versions of an ML model, where are you going to store all these ML models? So are you going to store it in your local PC? Like you're going to zip it and store it in a folder or something like that? No. Are you going to use those ML models to be stored in a source code, source version control tools like GitHub? No, that's not the right tool. The models are huge files. You cannot store it in GitHub. GitHub is not made for that. That's where we used to call it as a model registries. So that's where everything starts. So here, source version control is really important. So we use tools like GitHub, something on AWS, Azure, GCP. We use these tools to version a code that is written by our data engineers and data scientists. So then we have to track and version our data also, as I mentioned, because your customer data will change. So this is where we talk about tools like DVC, which stands for data version control. We talk about AWS has its own data version control tool. Azure Machine Learning Studio has its own data version control tool. GCP has its own tools. So then comes model artifacts and model versioning. So obviously consider that you have a 2 versions of data, 3 versions of data, then you're going to have a 3 versions of your ML model. We have to version all these ML models. This is where model registries comes into the picture. So similarly, there are multiple tools. There are multiple tools when it comes to MLOps that we have to master, because here we have different stakeholders. Data engineers will be working with a set of tools, and ML engineers and everything. But as I'm talking about, MLOps is not just for data scientists. All the stakeholders who are part of a team. It is for data engineers, it is for data scientists, it's for ML engineers, who are the people who are part of it. But that's a good thing. Now let's get into the right deal, or the main deal. What is how we can able to master MLOps? So what it takes to master MLOps, right? Let's get started to that important discussion. Okay, so now we are on a point number 2. So still we have almost 1.5 hours to get to finish this particular program. So make sure you stay till end of this particular program, so you can able to enjoy the real-time demo that we have built, the complete end-to-end pipeline on top of AWS. You can download the free ebooks, the premium ebooks on all the cloud platforms, only if you stay till end of this particular program. Okay, and then to know what future looks like for the next 10 years. Okay, so let's get started. So now, before we getting, so in order to understand how to master MLOps or how to become a specialist, we are talking about how to become a master and specialist, right? So we need to understand the various MLOps components here. So in the process of building the very successful MLOps pipeline, so what it takes. So obviously we start from a use case discovery. Obviously any business should have some use case, enough data to get started, right? So we do business understanding, we do use case identification. So this is where, let's say, our business peoples, right, business analysts and data analysts, they will be working together to transform, let's say, the business problem into the viable problem statement. And we set objectives to be solved by ML with associated KPIs. Okay, So we understand the data, we do all the feasibility study. Okay, so once we have everything in a place, a data, then we do a data engineering. So this is where we start preparing a data. So here comes our data engineer. He'll be collaborating with our data scientist, and he will acquire a data from various different sources. He will prepare a data, pre-process it, transform it if it is necessary. And then we learn about algorithms, right? We use various different mathematical algorithms. Maybe we want to get started with TensorFlow. We need to solve a problem on top of classification or regression, whatever it is. We figure out the best algorithm that we can able to use for our use case. So once algorithm has been finalized, then we get started with the model building exercise. This is where we take a data, we start teaching a data to a machine. So you might conduct various different experiments. You might not satisfied with one ML model. You might produce multiple ML models until you get the better quality. So, and once you have a quality ML model, then finally we evaluate that ML model. In the process of evaluation, we try to evaluate the metrics, the score, and we document it. Then we start thinking about serving. I mean, talking about the deployment process, right? So here, once our data engineering is done, so this is one, then we started building a machine learning pipelines. So as part of a machine learning pipelines, inside our pipelines, our data scientists will start doing various different experiments. I mean, building a lot of ML models, registering those experiments in a experiment, the tools that we are using, multiple stuff. So then comes the deployment, that is a production deployment process. So now we have a best ML model. So now we need to start thinking about deploying your ML model and build an automation on top of it. See, what I am talking about automation in MLOps is all about, consider that today what is happening in every industry, there's no automation, right? So consider that today our data engineers and data scientists, they're using Jupyter notebooks, they write some script, they start hitting run button each and every time to train your ML model or pre-process your data, and to train and manually go ahead and deploy your ML model. But here we are talking about an automation. See, we don't want you guys to hit on run button each and every time to train your ML model. We want automation on top of data preparation. We want our data preparation to be automatically happening, model training to be automatically happening, model evaluation, model deployment, and also model monitoring to be happening automatically. And in case if you've identified any drift and we want our pipelines to retrain the entire ML model again, automated retraining, or CT, what we used to call. So this is where we do automation, we implement CI/CD pipelines, then we started working on operation, and we implement monitoring tools. Consider that when I'm talking about monitoring, it's not just monitoring your infrastructure, you need to also monitor the models that you are deployed to a production. So, and we need to learn the lessons from it, and we should start optimizing it again and again, right? So this is about the MLOps components. And now let's move on to the very important slide. So this particular slide gets you the complete insight about MLOps. If we talk about the MLOps pipeline, the high level view of MLOps, otherwise the high level architecture of MLOps, what does it looks like, right? This is how it looks like. Let's get started. So ultimately, every organizations today, they are looking for migrating from automated ML workflow to completely incorporated CI/CD pipelines, basically. So every organizations now want to incorporate the CI/CD practices inside. Let's try to understand what does this pipelines looks like. Okay, so let's get started again. So obviously we'll be getting started with the ML project identification. That's good. Okay, let's consider there is a use case for every organization. So now let's get started. So what happens next? So now we start with data. Obviously everything starts with data, because we all about machine learning or data science, AI, what we're talking about, it's all about data, right? So, and we understand from the story that I described, so the data can be changed. If a customer, I mean, if your customer behavior is changing, your business environment is changing, your data gets changed. And do you have a tool to version your data? This is where we integrate data version control tools. So there are wide varieties of tools that is available that we're going to discuss in our program. For example, DVC, which is an open source tool, which stands for data version control tool for versioning your data. We can use tools on AWS, Azure, and GCP. Then comes data pre-processing. So what we do as part of a data pre-processing? See, this is where our data engineers comes into the picture. We start writing a script here to prepare, to fetch a data, to build ETL pipelines, whatever it is. So, and again, this script has to be versioned using code repositories. So we know that the code can be changing. Just imagine we have a lot of machine learning, not machine learning engineers, data scientists, and ML engineers, data engineers. Just imagine how many times that you have changed the code in your organization, right? So if you have the proper code repositories like GitHub, something on AWS, we call it as code commit, Azure repositories, Google Cloud repositories, you can able to version your code, right? And then comes model building step. As part of a model building, again, let's say our data scientist will start writing a script, a Python programming, for example. So again, this code has to be also versioned in a code repository, right? We data scientists will write a script for fetching the algorithm, mentioning the hyperparameters, all those stuff, right? And then comes the model training. See, what do we do in the process of model training? So it's all about, okay, we take a data, we teach a data to a machine, right? As simple as that. But we use something called feature stores to fetch the right kind of a feature that we need to use in order to train an ML model. Consider that we call it as a feature store. What is feature store? A feature store is nothing but a schema repository where we have a schemas version. And by using the schemas, you can able to fetch the right kind of a data that you need. For example, let me put a very simple understanding here. Let's consider that we are talking about, let's say we are building an ML model to forecast your electricity bills. So what are the features do you think that is responsible for predicting electricity bills? Let's consider that there's a voltage, there's a current, and let's consider there is a bill amounts. Let's say you might have paid a bill for last 3 years, right? So let's say these are the 3 important features that is responsible for predicting electricity bills. But I might have another feature called power, correct? So consider that combinations of let's say your voltage, current, and bill amounts. Let's say this can be your version 1 of your feature, and combinations of power together we can call it as your version 2 of your feature. So we have features versioned in your feature store, and you can able to use this schema to fetch. Let's say if you're fetching the first version, you will get voltage, current, and bills, right? Something like that. So this is about a feature store in a very simple layman terms, but it does a lot of different things. We use feature stores to fetch a right amount of a feature, and we start training your ML models. So once your model has been trained, it produces something called model artifacts. So model artifacts has your ML model. This is where your ML model is. So model artifacts has some additional data also, right? Model version, metadata, everything. And we use model registries. So there are different kind of model registries tools that we're going to talk in our program. For example, there is an open source tool called MLflow, which is very famous tool that you can able to use it for versioning your ML models and also for experiment tracking. So, and SageMaker on top of AWS, they have a model registry, and GCP Vertex AI has their own model registry. Azure Machine Learning Studio has their own model registry. We will be talking about all these things by building real-time projects. So when it comes to feature store, there are different kind of tools like Feast, something on Vertex AI. And then comes deployment process. So now we need to integrate things with CI/CD pipeline, and we start, let's say, automatically, let's say if you want to build, Dockerize your ML model, and once Dockerizing, let's say I want to go ahead and deploy it to the production. So let's say I might want to deploy it, consider that to my Docker servers, Kubernetes, I want to deploy it to endpoint, I want to deploy it as a serverless, I do it. And then I implement model monitoring tools in order to monitor your ML models 24/7. And I might also integrate my feedback loops from my monitoring tools, so to automatically retrain your ML models whenever you want. So we used to call it as also a quality gates. There is another thing called quality gates that we could able to use in order to decide the model that you're trying to deploy, whether it's a right model to deploy or not. Consider that. Let's say we are trying to build a regression model. Let's say I'm going to calculate my metrics. For example, I use something called MSE. So MSE stands for mean square error. Let's say if my MSE score is less than or equal to 7, that means that's a good model. If it is less than or equal to 7, then I want to deploy my ML model to production. Otherwise, if it is not less than or equal to 7, I don't want to register my ML model. So this kind of analysis, you can do it with automated quality gates. And you can also use automated quality gates on the side of a data preparation also. You can use automated quality gates to check whether your data is clean, whether it is clean enough, it's I mean, it has any biases, it is free from outliers. You can check it over there. And more importantly, having end-to-end traceability. I mean, you need to collect the logs, metrics, and you need to keep on analyzing them. So this is where you can build beautiful visualizations. Data analyst comes in this point. ML engineers comes in this point for building this dashboards, are using existing dashboards in a cloud platform to monitor end-to-end traceability, collecting logs, checking what's happening in a data preparation, what's happening in a model training, deployment, model monitoring tools, all those stuff together. So this is what it takes to build a successful ML pipelines, basically. So today, every organization is trying to move on to this level 4 architecture. So we used to call it as a maturity level. So not every organization is going to directly implement a level 4 architecture. They might start from, let's say, the level 0. So they go from level 0, level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. So the level 4 is the high level architecture what we are talking today. Okay, that's awesome. Beautiful slide, isn't it? So now I want to understand. So I'm a data engineer, I'm a data scientist, I'm a ML engineer, where I am going to be part of it, right? So what are the different roles involved in MLOps? So what are the different roles involved in MLOps, right? Let's try to understand that. As I mentioned, it's not just done by one person. There's a multiple teamwork. Obviously, we understand that deploying, let's say, developing a successful machine learning project involves varieties of experiences. Obviously, it requires extreme collaboration among a team. For example, maybe we want to pick a right data, build ML model, deploy it, monitor your infrastructure, a lot of different stuff. And again, more than that, we need to have a good data to get started. Right? Once we have enough data, then comes another problem. Do we have enough resources, employees to get started, right? So not every organization going to have enough employees. They might have a budget constraint. So what happens, different organizations will have their different roles. For example, there will be, these are the kind of roles that you expect people who work for machine learning industries. For example, we'll be having a data analyst. So data analysts, they will be working closely with product manager and business team. Ultimately, their duty is to drive insights from the user data. They use a range of visualization tools like Excel sheets, SQLs, visualization tools like Tableau, Power BI. So, and again, they also build visualizations for model monitoring, the entire infrastructure monitoring, those kind of stuff. So then we have a data engineers. They will be working closely with data scientists, and they build data pipelines to harvest the data, prepare data, transform it. They use tools like SQL, Hadoop, Spark systems, and ETL tools in order to harvest the data. And our data engineers will be working on data version control tools. They'll be working on feature stores, for example. So then we have our dear data scientist, obviously someone who builds an ML model, which becomes final end product. So our data scientist will be working on a model registries, feature stores. You'll be working with model experimentation tools and such other things. So then we have research or applied scientist. This kind of a roles you cannot see in a lot of different organizations. But an organizations who are working on a cutting edge technologies, we can take Google, Microsoft, Amazon. So the ultimate duty for them is to build a new algorithm for the varieties of product related areas that organization are working. So then we have ML engineer or DevOps engineer. Basically in ML, we don't call it as DevOps, but we call it as ML engineer. So the ultimate duty of an ML engineer overlaps with data engineer. They largely focus on ML models and related infrastructure. As I mentioned, they are deployment people. So they work closely with data scientists and they deploy the model that is made by our data scientists, pretty much simple. And then we have our developers, obviously the last piece of a puzzle we can say, right? So arguably one of the most important ones we can say, because they integrate everything that other people have done, right? So they create a main application, right? A web application, an Android application where your customers can finally interact with them, right? That's how it works. So these are the different roles. That's what I'm trying to mention. So MLOps is not just for data scientist or ML engineer. It's for every stakeholders are part of this particular journey. So let's try to understand the quick difference between MLOps and DevOps, what we're talking about. So when we talk about DevOps, we know that it's for a software delivery. Let's say whenever a software engineer makes a new version of a software, we want to deliver that software to production, we use DevOps to do automation. So DevOps is all about building a generic applications like a web app, Android app, anything that we can specify. And we use obviously standard set of libraries for a specific use case. I might use Angular, Vue.js, React, whatever it is, right? And let's say the tools, in the perspective of tools, we can say version control involves tracking your changes on the code and artifacts. So artifacts are basically the final end product. For example, let's say you're building let's say a Java application, then your file will be executable jar file. That's your final end product. And as part of a validation, we do a lot of testing in a software. For example, we do unit test, UAT, the different kind of testing. I just specified one here. And as part of our roles, usually software engineers and DevOps engineers will be the very important players over there. But when it comes to MLOps, it's all about building ML models to generate inferences, otherwise feeding inferences. And you know that if you're a data scientist or data engineer, you know that we use broad scope of tools, libraries. Just imagine we use NumPy, Pandas, scikit-learn, Keras, whatever it is, different kind of algorithms, you name it, right? So, and we use wide range of tools. For example, we need a tools for data versioning, tools for model artifact versioning, model registries, and tools for versioning your code, right? And our artifacts would be serialized files. And how do we evaluate your ML model? So here we calculate various different metrics. It can be based on a performance score, model performance, right? And the different roles are involved. I have just specified data scientist and machine learning engineer, but it's all the roles that I've specified here basically. That's awesome. Can we move on to the very important stuff? Let's dive into the world of MLOps tools. What are the different tools for MLOps? Okay, so not every organization is going to use all the tools, because the tools that I'm going to show, it has a lot of commercial tools, cloud-based tools, open source tools, everything that we're going to also cover the tools as per the curriculum in our program. So let's get started. Okay, so here is the wide range of tools that we use in a different areas. The tools needed for data versioning, code versioning, experiment tracking, the different kind of model registries, model monitoring tools, all this stuff. So probably this particular slide might not be visible for you guys clearly. So now let me just go to my browser. So I have this picture opened in my browser. Okay, see, we understand the usual first. Let's try to understand the usual steps in the process of building a successful ML model. We start from data collection. So we need to harvest the data, label the data, then do data exploration, data cleaning, all this stuff. See, once our data is ready, what we do, we train our ML model, we test our ML model, otherwise we evaluate our ML model. So once you have a best version of ML model, now we want to go ahead and deploy it. That's a process. Take a data, prepare a data, teach a data, deploy your ML model that is made finally. So in order to fulfill this particular process, an organization uses wide varieties of tools. For example, let's say we start from IDEs. So there are different kind of IDEs. IDE is like a place where you can write a code. For example, Jupyter Notebooks is one example. It can be IntelliJ, it can be VS Code, Visual Studio Code. There are different kind of IDEs that we use. And as part of a code versioning, let's say we write a lot of code and we have to version that code. Industry has a lot of different options. We can use open source tools like GitHub. We can use tools like Bitbucket, and every cloud platform has their own tools that you can able to use. And then comes data labeling tools. Let's say when you're working on a supervised learning, a computer vision, so you will be having a data, you need to have a labels for it. We use different kind of tools for labeling your data. And for data exploration and visualization, so obviously it's very important to visualize the data, because once you visualize the data, you can try to understand what's going wrong in your data. For that, we use range of visualization tools. It can be Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, Pylon. There are different kind of tools that you can able to use. For feature engineering, as I'm talking about, the features are really important, right? Do you remember this particular slide where we are talking about the different kind of features, right? Voltage, current, bill amount, such kind of a stuff. So to do a feature engineering, we use different kind of tools. For example, sklearn. Feature tools is a commercial tool. Feast is one of a very famous open source tool that is available in the market. We will be covering that in our program. And model training. So obviously we need to train our ML models, teaching a data to a machine. For that, we use something called algorithms. There are different set of algorithms that is available outside, like XGBoost, PyTorch, Keras, TensorFlow. We use different range of tools for that. So then model debugging and visualization. So let's say once you have trained your ML model, you need to analyze the logs, the metrics that is generated by your ML models, and you want to debug it, visualize it. So we use range of different tools. Neptune.ai, it's a commercial tool. TensorBoard, which is open source tool. Weights and biases, WNB, which is again a commercial tool. For model tuning and hyperparameter tuning, let's say if you're not satisfied with model, you do hyperparameter tuning job. Let's say you do multiple iterations, you produce multiple ML models. For that, we use different SDKs like Keras, tuners, and tuners, something like that. Then for experiment tracking, let's say for example, what is experiment? Let's say if you train your ML model, that's an experiment. Let's say you prepare your data, that's an experiment. We want to track every experiment that we conduct. For that, we use range of different tools. For example, MLflow, which is a very famous must-learn tool, which is again an open source. A lot of organizations look for MLflow, and even a lot of cloud platforms runs on top of MLflow SDKs. Tools like weights and biases, example. So then for model packing, let's say you want to pack your ML model. Let's say I want to go ahead and deploy my ML model. You need to pack it, some kind of a package. So for that, we use TensorFlow, PyTorch. Again, we can use MLflow. Or ONNX can be a very famous method. Kubeflow, which is again a framework that runs on a Kubernetes, for example, which is a place where you can orchestrate your Dockers. For model serving, we want to serve your ML models. We want to deploy it. We can use SageMaker. We can use Vertex AI. We can use Azure Machine Learning Studio. A lot of tools, but I have specified few here. So then comes workflow. See, you need to create some kind of a workflow, right? So what happens step by step? You need to inform what has to happen, what at what time. First, let's say we have to do data preparation. After data preparation, what we have to do. After model training, what we have to do. We need to create some kind of a workflow. For that workflow, we can able to use tools like Apache Airflow, which we will be covering in our program. Kubeflow will be covering the program. ZenML will be talking about that in our program. Metaflow, which is again a tool that is developed by Netflix. And such other kind of a tools, Volahai, which is again a commercial tool that is outside. So it's a subscription tool. And for versioning your data, we understand the importance of versioning your data, correct? So we use DVC, as I mentioned, which is again a very famous tool for versioning data. Git has their own tool. We call it as Git large files, okay? So for versioning your models, for versioning models, we call it as model registries. We're going to talk about wide range of model registries in our program. So for example, like MLflow, we're going to talk about model registries in SageMaker, Vertex AI, and Azure Machine Learning Studio. So then for model monitoring, there are wide range of tools. For example, Seldon, Fiddler can be one of them. We're going to talk about SDKs offered by every cloud platform for monitoring your ML models. There is a very famous open source tool called Evidently AI. So for monitoring your ML models. For creating a feature store, do you remember that we're talking about feature store, the importance of creating a store? There are different kind of feature stores that you can use. Tecton, SageMaker, or Feast is something that we cover in our program. So there's a range of tools. And here we have Manjunath in a chat window. He asked me a question, okay? So considering the cloud agnostic, all these tools can be considered as a cloud agnostic? No, there's a lot of tools. There are open source tools, just consider not all the tools that I specified in that previous slide will be used by different organizations because organizations have a different requirement, so they implement different architecture. So we pick a different tool for different use cases over there. So saying that, let's say, how do you decide? Let's say our program, why we call it as MLOps specialization program, because it lets you become a specialist in it. So there are people ranging from 2 to 3 years of experience to 18 to 20 years of experience people who join our program. So let's say if you are in a specialist level, architect level profiles, you used to get to decide what tool to be used in your organization, basically. So let's say if you're in that particular positions, how do you pick a tool? It's common for everyone. So how do you pick a tool for your organization? So whether it is open source tool or closed source tools, obviously we understand that open source tools are always free, and it is easy to integrate again to your application. But only problem is if you don't have a lot of developers who know about that open source tool, would be difficult. And if you don't have much support for that open source community, it would be difficult. Then comes platform versus specific tools. Let's say you can go for a commercial tool. For example, we have a cloud-based tools, which is a pay-as-you-go model. Obviously, you can also go for a commercial tool. There are private players outside. They offer MLOps tools for you where you can do end-to-end. So which one you're going to choose? Then comes, you need to look for a tool which provides model and production environment monitoring. Very, very important, because building a pipelines itself doesn't add a value. You need to monitor that ML model in a production, and you need to monitor the entire infrastructure that you are deployed. So for that, you need to check whether the tool that you're going to pick offers model and environment monitoring the bugs and documenting and solving it in the meantime. Very, 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 very important point is model templating and cataloging. Consider that tomorrow, as a data scientist, data engineers, you're going to work for an organization. You won't be building one pipeline in your lifetime. So you're going to work with multiple projects, multiple clients, so they have a different requirements. You don't want to reinvent a wheel again and again, right? This is where model templating and cataloging is very important, because you have proven a concept and now you want to reuse the same exact template again and again to replicate a success. So for that, you need to look for a tool which lets you templating and cataloging. So then you need to look for a tool which can able to provide you an automation, because automation on training, tuning, and drift management, for example, we don't want to manually run anything here. We want automated data preparation, model training, model evaluation, deployment, and monitoring, and automated retraining, right? Look for a tool, something like that. So then comes pipeline management. Let's say there are different stakeholders here: data engineers, data scientists, ML engineers, blah, blah, blah. Each and every stakeholder is responsible for different part in the pipeline, right? Let's say once your data preparation is done, model training is done, you need to trigger a notification. If something goes wrong, you need to update the specific team through a pipelines, and you need to look for a better communication, better collaboration and communication tool, because MLOps is all about communication and collaboration, isn't it? And the tool that you have, you need to ensure that does it offer proper communication and collaboration. Can you integrate Slack with it? Can you integrate a project management tools like Jira with it? So that's what the end goal is. Okay, saying that, let's get started with the MLOps on top of a cloud. Obviously, we understand the cloud is everything. So most of the machine learning use cases today runs on the cloud platform, and especially these three cloud platforms: AWS, Azure, GCP. So why those three cloud platforms? Because they occupies majority share in the market. So most of the machine learning use cases runs on top of three cloud platforms. So just imagine how does it looks like if you're being a specialist on those three cloud platforms. That means you open an opportunity, but you open an opportunity for yourself in any different organizations. You can literally work for any different organizations here, right? So in our MLOps specialization program, yes, we do cover not just one cloud platform. We do cover AWS, Azure, and GCP, but that's not enough, right? So, but not every organization just they're going to use cloud platform. They do also use open source tools that I'm talking about a long time. Yes, we do also cover open source tools in our program. For example, it can be Docker, Kubernetes, MLflow, Kubeflow, Metaflow, ZenML. Right? I can just keep on mentioning. We'll talk about our curriculum in detail later, but let's see what are the tools that we're going to cover. See, let's say as part of Git-based tools, we're going to cover GitHub and code commit, Google Cloud repository, and Azure repositories, all the kind of repositories that is feasible. So then comes CI/CD. So we understand what is CI/CD. CI stands for continuous integration, and CD stands for continuous deployment. So CI/CD is a practice which is used for delivering the new version of a software to a production in DevOps. But let's try to understand how does the CI/CD looks like when it comes to MLOps. So in general scenario, the CI/CD, the way CI/CD works in DevOps, let's try to understand that. Where it starts from our developer, isn't it? Our developer makes a code, right? Each and every time when our developer makes a code, he commits the changes to a repository. I mean, he uploads the code pretty much in a layman terms. What happens? Automatically, the trigger will be triggered. See, what do you mean by automation here? Once your developer pushed the code, your CI/CD tools recognizes, okay, my developer made some changes to the code. It will pull the code. It will start building the code. I mean, it will start building your software. So once your build is completed, we have to notify our software engineer or someone saying that, hey, dude, your build is completed now. That's perfect. So now it's going to the run test. So it's going to do a testing right now. Let's say you made a software, you need to test it. You do all the kind of automation for the testing. And again, for a testing team, once the testing is done, we trigger a notification. If it is failed, we also trigger a notification. And once everything is done, so finally we want to deliver our software to a production where customers can finally use it. So it works something like this. Consider that we have a production application. So this is an e-commerce website where you have a green color button, which is a pay now button. Each and every time when your customers purchasing something, they hit a green color button, which is pay now button, to purchase products. And let's say there's a lot of feedback, customers didn't like green color button, and now our now management took a decision to change the green color button to a red color button. So now here we go, our developer changing the green color button to a red color button. And here is our tool, that is code pipelines on top of AWS, which is CI/CD tool. So where we are using GitHub as a code repository. This is where we version all our code, and we have two different branches. Or we can just imagine something like environments. We have a dev branch, we have a production branch. So right now, what our developer is going to do, he's not going to make any changes to production. Production remains same. First, you're going to push the code to a dev branch. Automatically, once the code is being pushed to a dev branch, so here comes the building. So it will start building your software. It will produce artifacts, and this artifacts has to be deployed to your web server. So now what it's going to do, it's going to deploy your software to dev environment instead of production. We are not going to deploy to a production because we have to test it first. So now our dev environment button has been updated to red. So here our software engineers or any responsible person comes and test this particular button. Okay, is that button is working? Is that red? Is that clickable? Is that functionality is working? We do all the test. Okay, if you're satisfied, all the results are good. So now let's finally, in the next stage, we deploy the same button to production, which will turn to red. So that's a pretty much simple process. How does an MLOps pipelines looks like? How does the CI/CD works there? Same process. Consider that we have our data engineers, right? We have our data scientist, someone who works on a code. So they make some changes to the code, they push the code to a code repository. So automatically our MLOps pipelines understand there is a changes that our data scientists or data engineers have made. So it will automatically trigger feature engineering process. I mean, data preparation. Data preparation is happening automatically here. So then comes a training step. So once our data pre-processing is done, automatically model training happens. See, remember one thing, you don't run the code here. Everything happens automatically. So once a model has been trained, you will be producing model. You need to evaluate your ML model. So here you are calculating metrics, all those stuff. And then comes condition gate, right? Otherwise, condition step, what we are talking about, right? Okay, so let me just make it bigger. Okay, so as part of a condition step, otherwise quality gate, what we discussed, this is where we decide whether this ML model is fit to deploy. Consider this is where I do this evaluation. This is where I check whether my, let's say my MSC score is less than or equal to 7. If my MSC score is less than or equal to 7, if the condition is satisfied, the model will be registered to a model registry. Otherwise, it won't register your ML model. So once you have a best version of a model registered under a model registry, so now it starts a build process. So this is where we start building our ML model. Let's say we want to Dockerize our ML model and we want to deploy to the Docker platform. So once your Dockerizing is done, let's say we want to deploy it to a Docker platform. And again, as a process, we will initially deploy your ML model to dev environment. So we deploy our ML model to dev environment, not to production. Same process. If you're really satisfied with your dev environment, the results are perfectly fine. Let's say after your senior data scientist or whoever has evaluated, for the next process, we deploy your ML model to production. The same version of ML model will be deployed. So then your model monitoring tools will be implemented, which will be keep on monitoring your ML models 24/7 in a production basically. And once if there is any drift is being identified, automatically your platform will send a trigger to your pipelines. What happens again, your pipelines will start running. So there are wide range of CI/CD tools that we're going to cover in our program. Yes, we're going to cover both DevOps and MLOps pipeline building exercises on top of our program. So we will be covering AWS code pipelines, code commit, code build, code deploy in our program. And not just that, on top of GCP, we're going to talk about cloud build, cloud source repositories, or maybe cloud run or cloud deploy. And we're going to cover the entire suite of Azure DevOps tools, starting from Azure pipelines, artifacts, Azure repos, Azure boards, and other such tools as part of a DevOps. So then comes open source tools. Obviously, we want to, a lot of organizations does use open source tools. Yes, we do cover Dockers from scratch for MLOps. We do cover Kubernetes completely from a scratch for MLOps. And again, Kubernetes clusters on top of cloud platform. It can be Amazon EKS or that is Elastic Kubernetes Service, or Azure AKS on Azure Kubernetes Service. And other open source tools like model management. Yes, MLflow is part of our program. DVC is part of our program. We'll be building end-to-end projects on top of it. We do also cover Git large files. When it comes to feature stores, we understand the importance of feature stores, isn't it? We're going to cover feature store on top of AWS SageMaker. We're going to talk about Vertex AI feature store, Databricks feature store, Feast, which is open source. We're going to build our own feature store with Feast, which is a project. It's talking about commercial tools like Tekton, HubSpot, and talking about DynamoDB and S3 for building your own feature store. And very, very importantly, the cloud ML services. This is where we're going to build this level 4 architecture, which is nothing but end-to-end MLOps pipeline on top of SageMaker, AWS, Vertex AI on top of GCP, Azure Machine Learning Studio on top of Azure. What if an organization is not using pipelines on top of these three cloud platforms? Instead, they want to use open source tool like Kubernetes. On top of Kubernetes, let's say they want to use a framework like Kubeflow. Yes, we do cover Kubeflow with end-to-end. We'll teach you how to deploy Kubeflow infrastructure and to build pipelines on top of it. Followed by that, model monitoring tools are another important area. So where we're going to cover SDKs on all the three cloud platforms for model monitoring, and using open source tools like Evidently AI for monitoring your ML models, which is you can run the Evidently AI any way that you want. And then we have AutoML tools. Again, the commercial tools that I'm talking about, like Azure, Domino Data Labs, Vola Hive, Weights and Biases, Neptune.ai, and such kind of tools will be also covered. Then comes post-deployment challenges. See what happens after deploying your ML model. This is where we discuss about challenges related to software engineers, challenges related to ML engineer, challenges in edge computing, and more. Saying that, now it's time to get started with a live demo. Okay, so can we get started? So I have already built a live demo for you guys. Still, we have more than 30 minutes, 40 minutes that we have to complete a program. So make sure you stick end of this particular program, because now you're going to enjoy the demo that I built. Next, we're going to talk about how does a job industry looks like, how does the next 10 years looks like for you. And finally, we'll talk about the curriculum. Then you can download a free ebooks. Saying this, so now I'm going to navigate my screen to my SageMaker Studio. You can see my screen. This is what we call it as a SageMaker Studio. So this is where I built this level 4 architecture of MLOps. And here we will be getting started with the 2 repositories. There are 2 repositories. It starts from a source code version. One repository for building your ML model, another repository for deploying your ML model. So here we have something called pipelines. This is where we have deployed our pipelines. I mean, ran our pipelines. If I go to this pipelines, you can see that I have one execution last 1 hour ago. That means my pipeline is executed once. If my pipeline executing twice, thrice, 100 times, that means you're going to have 100 ML models. Right now, it executed once. I have one ML model. If I go inside, this is where you can see my graph, my architecture. So here I am basically solving a problem. Basically, I'm trying to solve a problem. Basically, I'm trying an ML model to predict an age of an abalone. So it's a kind of a sea snail, a seafood. So based on the age of an abalone, the price for it in a market varies. So this is where I have used that data set to train an ML model. So this is how my pipelines looks like. So here, the first process in the pipeline is pre-processing abalone data. So what do you think, according to you, what we do as part of a pre-processing? So as part of a pre-processing, we split the data into training, validation, and testing. So here is the graph, and here is my output. And all you can see that my data has been splitted to testing, validation, and training. And all these files, I mean, all the splitted files is stored in some kind of a storage. In AWS, we use something called S3. It's a storage platform where we keep all the data. So now the data is ready. And as part of a logs here, you can able to track the end-to-end traceability of what's happening in your data preparation. So now let's move on to our training your ML model, because now the data is ready. What we do next, we started training our ML model. As part of our model training, you can see the output. We have metrics that we have calculated on training data, that is RMSE score. Root mean square error is 1.6. On validation, it is 2.1. What we do in a model training, we produce ML model, right? So this is your ML model on top of AWS SageMaker. As part of AWS SageMaker, SageMaker produce model.tar.gz. That's your ML model in AWS. We again store this ML model in a storage platform, which we're going to use it further to deploy. See, once your training is done, then we do model evaluation. We need to evaluate it, then we need to decide whether it's a right model to be deployed. So this is where we call it as evaluate abalone model. As part of evaluation, we do a lot of different stuff. We calculate metrics. We calculate metrics like precision, recall, F1 score. This is something that is done by our data scientist. So we calculate all those metrics and we create a file and we store all those metrics in a JSON file. Then finally we have this quality gate as part of our architecture. What we are talking about, the quality gate, right? So I'm talking about this particular quality gate. So this condition gate that I'm talking about. So as part of this condition gate, I want to check a metrics. If my MSE score is less than or equal to 6, I want to register my ML model to model registry. You can see that for the check MSE abalone evaluation, the output is true. That means it is less than or equal to 7. So now let me just go to my model registry. So register abalone model registry is a model registry. So here you can check my MSE score, which is 4.8. Now you tell me, is that less than or equal to 6 or 7? Yes, it is. So now it has registered my model to model registry, as simple as that. Now what we do, now we need to go ahead and deploy this ML model. See, as part of our architecture, first what we're going to do, we're going to deploy our ML model to dev environment. So now let me show you how to deploy your ML model to dev environment. So I will go to my experiments before that. So as I mentioned, when you prepare a data, it's an experiment. Train a model, it's an experiment. Evaluate a model, that's an experiment. So here is 3 experiments that I conducted that is listed here. You can check the metrics out of it, how many times it has run, all those stuff. Okay. So here we have a model group. If I go to model group, so here in AWS we call it as a model group. Okay, if I go to this model group, basically this is a model registry. Okay, so here you can see that I have my first version of my ML model, which is pending for my approval. If you remember that, as a right practice, we don't automatically go ahead and deploy your ML model to dev or production. We want someone, let's say senior data scientist or anyone, or senior machine learning engineer, anyone who is responsible, want to manually approve your ML model to deploy into a production. So now consider that I'm a person. I will go to version 1 and which is pending. I'm going to update this status. I'm going to actions. I'm going to say update a status from pending. I'm going to say approved, and I will simply say, okay, I will just check. Okay, I will just put a command saying that as a machine learning engineer, I made all the change. I mean, I have checked it. It is good. Whatever it is, I will then finally I say save and update. That's it. Pretty much simple. So now I have updated the status. You can see I have approved my ML model. So now what's happening? It's going and getting deployed to a dev environment that we have created, basically. So to the dev environment. So how do I check the deployment process of your ML model? To that, we need to go back to our endpoints. You can see there is something called endpoints. Here, in few minutes, you can notice that our ML model is getting deployed to a production. Okay, so it's going to take a few minutes. Let it go. In the meantime, let's get started with our slide. Let's talk more about our program. Then we will come back after a few minutes. Then we will check what's the progress in terms of a deployment. So now let's talk about how does a job industry looks like for the people who have a MLOps skills on their resume. So this is where first thing that we need to understand, who will be part of MLOps, who should learn MLOps. So throughout the discussion, you have came to know that we have different stakeholders who are part of building ML models. So MLOps is for data scientists. Yes, it's for data engineers and data analysts who are going to work for ML industries. Research and applied scientists, ML engineers are DevOps engineers who are into ML, who are going to be inside ML industries, aspiring MLOps professionals and enthusiasts, are machine learning professionals who want to learn how to deploy your ML models, are anyone who want to learn Docker, Kubernetes, AWS, Azure, GCP, open source tools like DVC, Feast, MLflow, and other tools that we have specified. This is a program for you. And any individual into data and AI industry, this is a program for you. And now let's try to understand what does the numbers looks like, right? So do you remember that data science jobs are high paid jobs today in the world, right? So obviously there's no exceptions in that. But what does an MLOps salary looks like? So this data is got from let's say Glassdoor and sixfigure.com. You can also cross verify from sixfigure.com. An average salary for someone who has a MLOps skills on their resume in India, it starts from 23.1 lakhs. This for 2 to 3 years of experience. And once your range of experience goes up, you'll be getting into different slabs. You might get 33% of people are into 10 to 20, 42% at 20 30, and 25% at 30 to 40, right? That depends. And obviously there's no doubt about it, because ML job vacancy trends are still picking up. And again, because today we could able to see, let's say if you go to LinkedIn, Instagram, or maybe any industries, they're talking about AI, right? So today, a lot of AI tools coming outside, starting from Chat GPT to DALI 3 and what every organizations are doing. That means whenever the age of AI is there, like according to me, let's say consider that till the world is completely took over by Terminators, till we have an opportunity for AI. I'm not just kidding, it's going to happen. So saying that, so when is the right opportunity to learn MLOps? It's right now, it's today, because the world is not going to wait for you. Just we can come to a quick conclusion just talking about this particular data. Industries, they started already transforming and implementing MLOps pipelines, and now they don't need just a data engineer, someone who can do data engineering, and ML engineers who can build ML models only, because they need data engineers, data scientists, ML engineers, DevOps peoples with MLOps skills who can able to work with them. And again, this transformation is happening pretty much fast. Like how this drone industry completely replaced the choppers. So consider that past 2009, right, where news reporters, movie makers are going through chopper in helicopters for shooting a movie. This industry completely took over in the next 10 years itself, right? The transformation in AI is happening pretty much fast, right? So let's quickly talk about our MLOps specialization program, what we are discussing throughout. So MLOps specialization program is a advanced level, a specialist level program, starting from beginners who are into understand what is AI and ML with minimum experience to maximum of 18 to 20 years of experience, people they can join this particular program. So this is the advanced level specialization program that's available today in the market. So it's starting from 30th of September. It's a totally 7 to 8 weekends program. That means every Saturday, Sunday, we'll be having a session. That means, let's say every Saturday, starting from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. IST in India. And let's say if you're from EST time zone, it will be 9:30 to 1:30 for you. And let's say if you're in a CET time zone, it's going to be 3:30 to 7:30 for you. Let's try to give a good structure about our program here. So the program is something like this. So this is not a webinar or a seminar. You're just going to come and listen and go. No, 85% of a curriculum that we have is live hands-on. That means maximum of a time that you're going to spend with us, you will be building hands-on projects on AWS, cloud open source tools. So first, every weekend, every Saturday 4 hours, every Sunday 4 hours, we're going to work with our live sessions. And every Monday, you'll be receiving an access to the recordings of a live session that you attended. And every Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Thursday, we're going to have something called debugging sessions. So this debugging sessions are optional to attend. So what is this debugging sessions, how it works? Let's say during a live session, we build some hands-on project, right? You might have some bugs, errors that you couldn't resolve. During a live session, you will be joining a debugging session where I am going to help you one-on-one. You'll be sharing a screen. I will be instructing you to fix the problem. So our MLOps specialization program includes 3 different cloud platforms, that is AWS, Azure, GCP, and open source tools. We call it as a 360-degree view of MLOps. Completing this program, you can work for any different organization because we get to cover that particular tools here. So it's a 70 hours putting everything together, 50 plus live hands-on labs, 10 plus real-time projects. At least one DevOps project will be covered on every cloud platform. One end-to-end level for architecture MLOps pipeline project will be covered on every cloud platform and on all the open source tools that we are part of our curriculum. So saying that, what's the pricing for this particular program? So yes, not just we have one pricing structure, we have 3 different pricing structure for our peoples here. So it's really exciting because you can get what exactly that you want from this particular program. And again, don't leave this meeting because we have some exciting announcement. People who join this demo session will be lucky to join this particular program. So you can also download a free ebooks because still we have 30 minutes that we have promised. Okay, so let's get started. So we have 3 different pricing plans. We call it as basic plan, advanced plan, and advanced plus. Today in the industry, an average the price for MLOps training starts from 50 to 60,000 rupees. No, we don't want to do that. So our advanced plus plan, the topmost plan, starts from 47,999 itself. And then we have advanced plan, just an advanced plan start from 41,999, and we have basic plan just start from 39,999. Okay, why we have 3 different pricing plans? Okay, you might have a question. Okay, it's going to be exciting. Let me just explain what's the value that you're going to gain from this particular program. So because you can choose what exactly you need. Consider that you want to just upgrade your skills, nothing else. Let's say you want to attend live sessions, you want access to the recordings of a session, and you need you have some bugs and questions, errors, you need our help to fix that. Yeah, here we go, you can go for a basic plan, as simple as that. And you also get free resources, some community support. But let's say people are going for advanced or advanced plus. Usually working professionals, they take either advanced or advanced plus. You get some premium support here. So yes, you have access to live sessions, access to recordings and debugging session, and free resources and community in advanced plus also. But what is this premium support that I'm talking about? So for example, resume preparation is part of our program, and 6 months of technical job support and bonus reattendance opportunity. Okay, what is this? It's going to be really exciting. So resume preparation and 6 months of technical job support. For example, we will be having two categories of participants always in our program. People who want to upgrade a skill and they want to go for a better position because industry is looking forward for the MLOps skills, right? So how do we support them? First, we help them preparing a resume. We understand you guys first, trying to understand what's your experience, how you can able to carry forward your experience, even you're coming from a different domain. And next thing, we help them in 6 months of technical job support. How do we do what we do here? Basically, here, let's say a candidate might be applying for various different jobs outside. So let's say his resume got been shortlisted. The next level B comes in the picture. Let's say he might be going for a technical round. So before we going for a technical round, we ask our candidate, okay, come sit for a discussion with us. Get your job description. We help decoding a job description. We give insights for a candidate saying that how does this interview looks like, what this interviewer might be asking for, are they looking for a person who is into infrastructure, are you going to work with the infrastructure? We help them decoding that. So this provides enough confidence to clear that particular interview round, which is actually working. You can also check our testimonials where we already collected, and you can able to get the success from our people who are taken our program. That's what we do, and we help prepare particular interview. It's kind of a mock interview kind of a stuff. And there's another categories of participants who need a technical support. Let's say he will be working in an organization. We need a support. Let's say you need an assistance, and let's say they might be asking you to build a prototype for an MLOps pipeline. Even though completing this program you have an expertise, we do support you providing a sample code, the documents, the consulting for you. That's how it works. Then comes bonus reattendance opportunity, the very important feature for working professionals here. So let's say all you guys are going to make, you're in a busy schedule, going to make a time to attend this particular program. So here, if you choose either advanced or advanced plus, you get twice the opportunity to take a program. Consider that you're signing up for a September batch. Even after you completing a September batch, you can retake this program again in a December batch, completely for free with no additional fee. So that is, let's say, usually 20 to 25% of our working professionals, they miss some sessions. In a live session, they ask a question, Sharath, I missed some live sessions. Can I retake this program once again in next batch? Yes, you can retake it through bonus reattendance opportunity. When it comes to advanced plus plan, same features. Instead of getting 6 months of technical job support, you get 1 year job support. Bonus reattendance opportunity is also part of a plan. And then we have something called instant access. You know, instant access is really going to be benefited because, so let's say our program is for 2 months, 7 to 8 weekends. And still we have around 20 to 25 days to begin our program. People who register for our advanced plus plan, they immediately going to get access to the recordings of our previous batch. So we are done with previous batch around July. You're going to get access to previous batch recordings. You can get started today itself with the support from us. You get access to the recordings in the next 24 hours. So if you're looking for a pricing in USD, your advanced plus plan pricing will start from $699. Your advanced plan pricing will start from $599, and your basic plan will start from $549. And here we go. I'm not going to make you wait for a surprise that I'm talking about. People who attend this program will be really lucky because till 11th of September, we are offering something called a free upgrade offer. Till 11th of September, it's not long, but just on Monday. Monday will be a last date because we had our previous demo session done on 6th of September. We have revealed this offer and we have very limited seats on this. What is this free upgradation offers? Because most of the people want to take, let's say, advanced plan or advanced plus plan, right? So how do we going to help you guys to register for that, right? So this is where the surprise comes in picture. All you need to do, are you looking for an advanced plan? Just go ahead and register for a basic plan, which is just costing $39,999 itself. But we will be doing a free upgrade for you to advanced plan, which is costing $41,999. By registering for basic, you get advanced. As simple as that. It is only for 10 registrations. We are already blocking our seats, and this is only for 11 September because we cannot afford that. So, but otherwise, are you looking for advanced plus plan? Go ahead and register for advanced plan, which is costing 41,999, but we will be upgrading you to advanced plus plan completely for free. You'll be saving our 6,000 rupees on a registration. So that's the surprise that we have. So please go ahead and register as soon as possible. And why do you think Citron Technology is the right people to teach you? And this is not our first batch. This is a 5th batch for this year itself. And it's been more successful, and we are from Bangalore, India, and we've been supported by Government of India, and we've been incubated in PhD step Coimbatore, and we've been awarded by various different initiation stages. We've been part of Activate program in AWS, and we represent ourselves in a lot of initiation stages. Go ahead and check our testimonials. Okay, our testimonials will talk behalf of us. Okay, so go and check. We have candidates upgraded their skills, they got jobs, multiple jobs in various different organizations. So we have candidates, as I mentioned, from 2 to 3 years of experience to, let's say, even a freshers join if they have some skills in ML and DL, some basics, till 18 to 20 years of experience people. Consider that here you can apply for various different job roles. Consider that you can still work as a let's say data engineers and data scientists, ML engineers with the existing positions, but you can, let's say, if you have more than 6 and 7 years of experience, you can apply for the lead positions in ML. So consider that you can apply for MLOps lead engineer, MLOps specialist, MLOps architect, kind of a roles basically. Okay, so you can look for our testimonials, you'll get some better clarity. So now let's go ahead and let's quickly discuss on a curriculum that we are talking about. Okay, so perfect. Still we have 15 minutes that you guys are promised. Okay, so make sure you stay till end of this particular program so you can able to download a free ebooks. So now we are moving on to the very important part, discussion of a curriculum. So I'm going to share this curriculum in few minutes for you guys. You can download, you can enjoy. And again, our demo is still pending. I'm going to show you the models that we are deploying. To know that, please make sure you stay till end of this particular program. Okay, here is the curriculum. You can get every details from here. So there are totally 13 modules that we're going to cover in this program. Our module number 1 is Introduction to MLOps. This is where we're going to dive deep into everything about MLOps, talking about challenges, similarities, MLOps components, and more importantly, talking about different kind of ops. So what is this DevOps we are talking about? What is this AI ops? What is this model ops and GitOps? And more importantly, we're going to talk about the case study, CI/CD production case studies. That means we're going to talk about how other organizations has implemented their CI/CD practices, how they have been successful. We're going to talk about how organizations have implemented CI/CD tools, CI/CD in production on AWS, Azure, GCP. Not only that, open source tools case studies also will be covered. Then comes module number 2, Introduction to ML and MLOps stages. So this is where we're going to talk about this maturity level. How does organization transform from level 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then talking about MLOps stages in detail, talking about versioning of data, the code, the models, the containers, everything. Testing, what are the different kind of testings that we do in MLOps? Automation, like how do we automate our model delivery by using CI/CD? Reproducibility, templating, how you can reproduce this result again and again, deployment, monitoring. And here comes our MLOps architectures that we're going to discuss. So here we're going to talk about open source tools like Kubeflow, we will be covering, Apache Airflow will be covering, MLflow, Metaflow, Kedro, ZenML, MLrun, and CML. Very famous open source architectures. And again, cloud native architectures. We're going to talk about how does an architecture looks like on top of AWS, GCP, and Azure. Not only discussing these architectures, all these architectures are going to be level 4 architectures as I'm talking about. We're going to deploy those architectures on top of AWS. You're going to deploy along with me. And module number 3, we do teach Git, because versioning, source code versioning is really important. We're going to do hands-on and learn how to use Git on top of AWS, Azure, GCP, or maybe GitHub. Then comes module number 4, Introduction to CI/CD. This is where we're going to cover CI/CD tools on top of AWS. How do we build CI/CD tool, CI/CD pipelines based on a DevOps project? That means one DevOps project will be built on every cloud platform. Yes, we do cover entire DevOps on AWS. We build one pipeline project. Yes, we do cover GCP DevOps, and we do build one pipeline on top of it project. Azure entire DevOps suite will be covered, and we will be also building a DevOps project on top of it to understand. Then comes module number 5. Okay, so folks, I'm going to answer a lot of questions that you're going to ask. Please make sure you keep on answering these questions. Then we have a module number 5, Dockers and Kubernetes. We're going to cover Dockers and Kubernetes from scratch, understanding how to build Docker image, how to deploy your Docker image, how to work with Kubernetes clusters, deploy your clusters, deploying your ML models that is Dockerized on top of Kubernetes clusters, those things. We'll be building end-to-end project. Then comes module number 6, Kubernetes deployment strategies, talking about an industry grade, how to deploy your Kubernetes clusters on cloud platforms, how to deploy your ML models there. Then comes module number 7, introduction to model management. So this is where we're going to talk about the open source tools for model management, like data versioning, code versioning, experiment tracking, model registries, model monitoring. So this is where we're going to cover ML flow completely from a scratch. So here we're going to talk about how to deploy the infrastructure for ML flow, and after that building, training, and deployment of your ML model through ML flow stack. Then comes DVC. We'll be covering how to use data version control with hands-on. We'll be taking a data, learning how to version it, and also Git large files. Then comes module number 8. We have a feature store, a separate module for a feature store, learning about different feature stores that is available outside, like SageMaker feature store, Vertex AI feature store, Databricks, Texton, Feast. And specifically in this particular module, we'll be building our own feature store on top of a Feast, and we're going to learn how to register our features to it. And then comes module number 9, the very important module. This is where we're going to cover cloud platforms, the level 4 architecture that I'm talking about. It's at least takes 1 weekend to cover one cloud platform. One project takes 1 weekend. That's how huge it is. So we're going to cover SageMaker Studio to build SageMaker ML pipelines. We're going to build this level 4 architecture that I'm talking about. And we're going to use Vertex AI to build end-to-end pipelines on top of Vertex AI. That's again a level 4 architecture. On top of Azure MLOps, we're going to use MLOps version 2 architecture. So now Azure has released version 2 architecture. We're going to really robust. So Azure is the only cloud platform which takes a lot of time to build that project. It's going to be really exciting. Then comes module number 10, as I mentioned, Kubeflow. Yes, we're going to teach you how to use Kubeflow, deploy Kubeflow stack, and also to build pipelines on top of it. Again, this is going to be a real-time project. Then comes module number 11, introduction to model monitoring. We have a separate module for model monitoring itself. So this is where we're going to talk about the various different SDKs which is provided by cloud platforms in order to monitor your ML models. Then comes doing a hands-on project on monitoring your ML models. Then comes module number 12, introduction to AutoML tools. We will be also covering AutoML tools, and we'll be planning a one demo on it. So then comes module number 13, that is post-deployment challenges. What happens after deploying your ML model? The challenges related to software engineering, machine learning engineering. Again, here is a place where we're going to talk about evidently AI for monitoring a drift, data drift, or concept drift, or biases on top of your data. So this is all about our 13 modules, and these are the skills that you're going to master, like starting from DevOps, AWS DevOps, GCP DevOps, and again, entire Azure DevOps tools, Kubernetes, EKS, MLflow, DVC, Git large files, Vertex AI, Feast, DynamoDB, S3, Glue, SageMaker pipelines, Kubeflow, evidently, and more. And you can check this curriculum in detail. These are the tools that we're going to cover in this particular program. And if you further scroll down, you can check the pricing details here. And there are testimonials attached here. You can also check our testimonials just by clicking a video. You can check what our participants talks about our training, how they got a job, how it has benefited for them. You can also check our feedbacks that we have received from our groups that we have added, our participants. Yep. So this is about it. So now what I will do, I will quickly share the links for you guys. So then we will discuss about the project, the lab that we're trying to do. So that is, we're talking about, yeah. So let me just share the links for you guys first. So the first set of links that I'm going to share, you can find the first link I have shared in the chat window. It's for registration. The first link is for registration. So once you click on the link, you'll be going to the platform called TownScript. So let me just go to that particular platform. And the second link that I shared is for downloading a curriculum. You can able to download the same PDF that I am showing here by clicking the second link. And third link is a place where you can download the free ebooks as I promised. And finally, we have a contact information of me. I do suggest you guys to call me post the session whenever you get time. If you have any clarity that you needed even after completing this demo session, you can also ask questions right now once we're done with the demo. And I will also share you my testimonials. The testimonials anyway, it's in the record in the curriculum. Please download the curriculum, check the testimonials. Okay, perfect. So you'll be coming to this platform. All you need to do, hit book now button. And you'll be redirected to a platform where you can able to select the tickets, and we have very limited seats here. What are the seats that has been available here? It's only seats that are available, and we are hardly looking for less than, I mean, just 20 peoples in a batch, but because it's going to be purely hands-on program, we don't want to get a lot of peoples. It would be really difficult for us to assist them. So please go ahead, don't miss it. The offer is only till 11th of September. That's the hard part, because till by end of 11th of September, the offers are getting over basically. Okay, so perfect. Go ahead and prepare your questions. In the meantime, I'm going to check what happened with our deployment of your ML model. Okay, here we go. So now let's have a quick look of our deployment of our ML model. Let's quickly go ahead and generate inferences. Then we will talk about your questions. Then you can unmute your mic. We can start talking. Okay, so perfect. So here we go. I'm back to my pipeline, and here is my model. You can see my under endpoint. Previously, there is no ML model. Now we have successfully deployed our ML model to staging. Otherwise, we call it as dev. So I have, this is my endpoint. Let me just copy my endpoint name. And if I go to AWS settings, so this is the REST API which SageMaker has developed for us. So this is the REST API our developers are going to use in order to build front-end applications. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to generate quickly inference from the model that is deployed to dev. Here is the simple Python script that is going to helpful for us to invoke a model that is deployed on an endpoint, real-time endpoint on a SageMaker. All I'm going to do, I'm going to invoke this model by simply hitting run, and you can see that we are getting a predictions under a print statement. It is actually trying to predict the age of an abalone, which says 9.4. Okay, so this is how I deploy my ML model. I am invoking my ML model, which is deployed to a dev environment. So how do I deploy my ML model to production? So in order to deploy your ML model to production, according to the architecture that we are discussing, we're going to use code pipelines, because as you see, as part of an architecture, we're going to use AWS code pipelines for this. So now I'm going to back to code pipelines console. You can see I'm in a code pipelines, and you can see there's a one pipeline is in progress. You can see there's a one. I will go to that particular pipeline, and here you will see the pipeline that I built. Okay, so here you can see, one second, let me just go to my pipelines, my pipelines, and here you can see there's a one pipeline which will be in the progress. You can see it says in progress. If I go to that particular pipeline, you can able to see that I have a source code coming from a code repository. I have my build process where I'm building my ML model. And as per the deployment, you can see this is where I'm doing testing. This is the testing stage. And here is the approval stage. As I mentioned, it is waiting for my approval in order to deploy my ML model to production. So now I'm going to manually approve my ML model to be deployed to a production. I'm going to simply hit review. I'm going to see approve. That's it. It will be deploying my ML model to production. That's it. As simple as that. In few more minutes, under a model registry, we should also see our model getting deployed to production. Okay, perfect. So now let's go to the Q&A. Please go ahead and ask your questions. You can unmute your mic. You can talk to me. Let's spend a lot of time right now. I will also answer your questions in a chat window. Please go ahead. If you're unmuting mic, if you're going to talk to me, please mention your name and what you're doing. Then we will start talking. Please go ahead. Let me just also try to help you unmute your mics. Please go ahead, ask your questions. Let's get started. And now you can see in my console, my model is getting deployed to a production right now. Perfect. So let me just try to answer your questions that you have left in the chat window. Let me just check. If anyone is talking, please let me know. I hope you should be able to talk. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, let me just try to answer a few questions. Okay, so Gautami is asking, please explain me the CI/CD tools monitoring part of a with a sample code. Yes, Gautami. So because that's what exactly we're going to build in our project. I mean, in our MLOps specialization program. So it may be GCP, it may be Azure, it may be AWS. We'll be covering CI/CD tools along with the monitoring tools together. So Praveen is asking, do you have any exclusive program on top of GCP itself? No, Praveen, it won't work like that. Let me just explain the scenarios. Consider that what happens, let's say most of the organizations, they might not just use tools on top of GCP. Consider that you might have a data that you are harvesting from various different cloud platforms. So you might need open source tools. What if, consider that, in your even though if you're using GCP, but on top of GCP you can use open source tools. Consider that you might want to use Docker, you might want to use Kubernetes. So if you're just going to learn Vertex AI, so what if you don't have any skills on Kubernetes or Dockers? It doesn't work, right? So you will be losing a lot of opportunity in the market. So Ankit, please let me know if you're going to unmute your mic, you can talk to me. Otherwise, if you're anyone facing a difficulties in talking, if I'm not responding, please let me know in a chat window. Yeah, so yeah, perfect. So let me just try to answer another question that we have. Perfect. Let me just check the next question. A lot of question. I'm just trying to browse. Okay, so here we have a question. Okay, so Venkatesh asking, what are the key tools for MLOps used for product lifetime management? So when it comes to product lifetime management, so let's say here we are talking about, let's say when it comes to the perspective of ML, it's all about the model. It's all about the quality of a ML model that you have, that you're trying to maintain the lives of it. So here we are more talking about retraining your models and producing more versions of your ML models. So it's pretty much comes in when it comes to MLOps, we have data quality monitoring till model monitoring is really important. Okay, so then we have a question here. Okay, Ankit asked a question. I'm working as a QA in a data team to test ETLs and ML models. So my question is this course for me or not exactly for you, Ankit? Because you can see that you are a data engineer, someone who works on top of ML data. And again, you are the person, someone who is going to be part of a stakeholder in MLOps. This is the right program for you. Okay, so here we have Kamalia. So sorry if I'm pronouncing names. How MLOps tools and knowing helps says for ML and data scientist or data analyst. Obviously, consider that. Okay, so consider that if you are a data scientist and data engineer, what knowledge you have right now. So let's say you might be a good data scientist. You can take a data, prepare it, clean it, okay, and you can train your ML model. Then what? So what about your deployment skills of your ML model? Let's say you want to Dockerize your ML model and you want to deploy it on a Docker platform, Kubernetes platform. And let's say you want to work with pipelines. What's your pipeline knowledge? So what's your knowledge on model registries? What's your knowledge on model monitoring? How do you have any experience in working with feature stores? So those steps. And do you have any knowledge on working with CI/CD tools to retrain your ML pipelines? So that is the knowledge where existing data scientists, data engineers, or data analysts, someone who's working in a working in an organization might be missing. Okay. Okay, so then we have okay, so here we have a person, the person name is missing, the profile name says Google Ads. It says, he's saying like last 5 years background experience, most the requirements. No, not exactly, because if you see, there are beginner level jobs for MLOps. MLOps is not something that you need to have a 5 years experience. So and you can still work as a data engineer. You can be part of ML industry and you need a MLOps skills. And there are specific roles for MLOps also. There is MLOps engineer. Even if you are a fresher, someone who has a 2 to 3 years of experience, you can also work as ML engineer. Okay. And let's say if you have a more than 6-7+ years of experience, you can apply for a lead roles like MLOps lead engineer, MLOps architect, and specialist kind of roles. And there you need more experience with better package, obviously. So Mohammed asking a question, does it covers data engineering and machine learning? That's a good question. Okay, see, this is a pure program that is into MLOps. So here, this is not a program where you learn machine learning. This is not a program where you learn data science, and this is not a program where you're going to learn data engineering, or this is not a program where we teach Python programming for you. No, this is purely a program for MLOps. Saying that, okay, so here we have a person again asking, show us LMS dashboard looks like. Okay, so that we are not going to currently show you. So yeah, so once you registration, you're going to get an access to it. Yeah, that's not a biggest deal. So yeah, so Mohammed is asking a question, does it cover some machine learning model building? Okay, that's again, so Mohammed is asking the same question. Yes, so here we don't teach data engineering or data science from a scratch, because that's not the intention of this particular program. But that doesn't mean that we won't be building ML models here. That doesn't mean that we won't be doing data engineering. Yes, consider that you are a DevOps professional, for example. So here, if you're a DevOps professional, you are not transforming yourself into data scientist or ML engineering here. You are not the one, someone who's going to build an ML model. So DevOps persons will be ML engineers, but eventually you'll be working on model deployment. But that doesn't mean that you won't be having any knowledge on what exactly our data engineers or data scientists are doing. Consider that you are a DevOps professional. You're working for a software industry. So you cannot say that I don't have any idea what is exactly a software engineer is doing. You cannot say I have no idea what framework, software framework we are using, all this stuff. You have awareness, but you don't build the software. So the same principle applies here. So, but that awareness is something that you're going to gain from this program, and what you want for ML engineering. So how many hours each weekend, Saturday and Sunday? So this is how it is. So let's say every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. for it's going to be 4 hours Saturday, 4 hours Sunday. If you're from CET, this or EST is going to be this. Okay, so Peter is asking a question, any prerequisites, skills required to take a program, a full specialization program? So as I mentioned, are you someone who are part of any of these roles? Like, are you a data scientist, data engineer, data analyst, research, ML engineer, DevOps professional, aspiring MLOps engineer, or someone who is looking for learning this particular skills, or someone, let's say, even if you are a fresher, someone who has a good idea of, okay, you have a Python experience. We are not talking about, let's say, expertise. Let's say if you are a data scientist, a data engineer, and you're going to ask me a question, okay, Sharad, do I need to have a Python skills here? Definitely you need to, because you are a data engineer and data scientist. But let's say if you are someone who's going to work as an ML engineer, DevOps professional, you don't need expertise like data scientist, but you need to have a basics understanding of a program. Let's say even if you're a DevOps professional, when it comes to automated testings that you write a script even for testing your software. The same core, the basics of understanding of Python would be mandated. Okay, perfect. Then we have a Syed is asking a question. So is there any placement support? Yes, we do have. That's what I'm trying to mention. Let's say as part of a plans that you're going to choose, let's say as I'm talking about, there are two categories of participants when it comes to the 6 months of job support and 1 year of job support. This is where we will support you guys. So we do help you prepare your resumes, and as I described already, let's say you might be, let's say, applying for interviews, let's say before you going and sitting for any technical interview. So let's say we help you decode your resume. We do provide kind of a mock interview kind of a stuff. We help optimize your resumes and feed the enough confident you can able to clear it. It's working, and you can check our testimonials for that, the proof of working in a testimonials. Okay, so perfect. How about moving from data governance to MLOps, how it helps? Yes, because when you are in data governance stuff, you have good knowledge on data. I guess that is something that really works. I guess this question is asked by Nikita. Please do call me Nikita, so I can able to provide you more insights on this. Perfect. Please do ask me a question if you have anything else that you want to talk to me. Use your unmute your mic. You can talk to me. Perfect. Let me just check if there are any other questions. Why too many curriculum on DevOps? No, there is no too many curriculum on DevOps, because if you see, we have only one module for DevOps, right? Let me just show you the curriculum once again. Okay, I guess I'm missing that. Let me just try to open that curriculum once again. So we have only one module. So because here you're not trying to, so the intention of teaching DevOps tools is not for aiming you to work for a software industry where you're going to work on DevOps, because if you want to get started with MLOps, we have to understand the core CI/CD automation, how it works, because we have this module number 4. Here we try to understand DevOps by building DevOps tools, but remaining modules are not about DevOps. Okay, Ankit's asking a question. I'm working as a QA in a data stream ETL testing. I guess, Ankit, I answered your question. Perfect. How long does it takes this course? So as I mentioned, this is the 2 months program because it's going to be for 7 weekends starting from 30th of September. It's going to be for 2 months, 7 to 8 weekends, we can say. So person called Google Ads are asking a question saying that, okay, how many hours per week? 8 hours. So you can see this is the timing. It's going to start from 7 p.m. It's going to end at 11 p.m. Saturday. And again, Sunday is going to be 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. So Manjunath Rao asking a question, Sharad, do we have any approach to develop machine learning models and follow MLOps process in multiple cloud platforms with less maintenance impact? Perfect. That's what exactly we're going to learn in this, Manjunath, because we're going to build this level 4 architecture, which is going to make the organization's life easier, how they build, try and deliver, monitor and retrain their ML models again. Perfect. Say hi. I guess someone is trying to talk. Okay, so you're not able to unmute yourself. Let me just check. You should able to unmute yourself. Is there anyone facing issue in unmuting yourself?
Hello,
I guess someone is. Hey, hi. Yes, finally someone. Perfect. So please let me know your name and what you do, and then we can talk.
I am Deepal Israni. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. Loud enough. Please go ahead.
I'm lecturer since last 10 years and I'm teaching AI and ML. Will this course help
Perfect.
me out to transition into industry?
Yeah, definitely yes, because if you are someone who is already into, let's say, data science teaching, consider that if you are good idea on data science is into research domain, so you can also and again we have participants who have taken, like we have professors from universities who have taken MLOps specialization program. We have one specific testimonial, you can also check it. So definitely MLOps is something that you can able to transform. Specifically, let's say I would suggest, let's say if you don't have a good data science skills or data engineering skills, getting into ML engineering could be a best option. So that's a place, let's say, where you can literally work on a deployments of your ML model. Yeah,
Thank you.
perfect.
Sharad,
Please let me know if anyone else has a question.
hi
So a
Sharad.
person called hey, hi, yeah, please let me know your name.
Yeah, Rehan this side.
Hey, Rehan,
Hope
yeah,
you can hear me.
yeah, perfect, loud enough, please go.
Yeah. So, Sharad, right now I'm working as a data scientist, and I have
Perfect,
around 5 to 6 years of experience, but not
good,
up to the mark of 5 to 6 years. You can say I have around practical 2 year of experience in data science, right?
good,
But on
okay,
paper, I have around 5 to 6 years of experience.
makes
So
sense.
I'm always thinking about the MLOps. So can I train my model and all on MLOps? My main motive is to train the model, data cleaning and data implementation, then train the model and deployment. So
Yep.
is it feasible on MLOps platform because without writing any data, writing any code?
Okay, you're talking about a
Yeah,
no code
no
pipeline,
code.
right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, let's say, for example, yes, there are tools on top of, let's say we're going to talk about Automl tools, which is limited, where it's going to have a low code or no code MLOps pipeline. But so let's say, I don't think so that is going to be more practical for any organization. So, okay, I want to go for completely no code because no code can be a future. But here, yes, we have a code because still data engineering and data science stuff, what we're going to do has to be done through some kind of a code that we're going to write. But remaining things, what we're talking about, versioning, data versioning tools, what we're going to talk about, Dockerization, Kubeflow, ML flow, or maybe automated retraining pipelines, the CI/CD implementation. Those going to be pretty much low code or no code tools basically.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how you think, how tough is the transition period if I complete your certification and all?
Okay. See, like considering that you have you're not someone who is completely new for data science. You have 5 years of experience in that. And again, so you are not transitioning. You are, let's say, when you're a data scientist, you're not transitioning into some other different domain. MLOps is not a different domain. MLOps is an automation that we are trying to add for building and delivering your ML models, basically. So for data scientists, you're not doing any transformation. You're trying to upgrade yourself to what is needed for a market when it's specific to MLOps here. So let me just tell you one thing. So when it comes to DevOps engineers, for DevOps engineers, they are good at CI/CD, automation, code repositories, all this stuff. But in another way, we have data engineers and data scientists have no idea on that. So for DevOps engineers, in the process of building automation, the implementation of CI/CD would be easier for them. Let's say for them, DevOps engineers still have to understand what is happening in ML engineering, how they are doing all this stuff. But when it comes to data science and data engineers, you're already in the field. What you need to do, you just need to upgrade into the different tools and let's say how DevOps tools, all those things works. And transitioning for data scientist, a data engineer, a DevOps engineer is pretty much easier. So otherwise, let's say if you're telling that I'm not a data scientist, I'm coming from a non-IT background, I have no IT experience, then I would say this is not a program for you.
Okay. And is there any course certification, course completion certification and all?
Yes, yes, you will get course completion certificate from us. Yes.
Yes, Sharath, I
And
have one question.
please mention your name and we can
Yeah,
talk.
I'm Muhammad. I have one
Hey,
question.
Mohammed. Yes. Please go
Yeah,
ahead, Mohammed. Please.
Y-
Yeah.
yeah, like I have one question. Like for DevOps engineer,
Yep.
building the CI/CD pipeline and everything, repos and all.
Yeah.
What issues he might be facing when it comes to machine learning deployments?
That's a good
Does
question.
he?
See, yeah, so good questions. Let's say when it comes to DevOps engineers, let's say I will represent yourself as a ML engineer, basically someone who's going to be working on a deployment side. See what traditional challenges, let's say consider that when it comes to DevOps pipelines, we might face multiple challenges. Let's say as a DevOps engineer, you need to take care of a pipelines that you have. Your build process might fail. You need to check it, what's happening. Let's say then as part of a DevOps itself, let's say you are deploying a web application. Let's consider a Netflix as a OTT, which is a web application. We need to monitor a lot of different things from production. We need to check application availability, load balancing, a lot of different stuff, a lot of different problems. There are similar problems in your model and the infrastructure that you're deployed for model here. So you need to monitor the MLOps pipeline. You need to ensure that your data pipelines, I mean, the infrastructure for data versioning is working fine. There will be challenges in there. Model training pipelines will have a challenges, and more challenges that we might expect post deployment of your ML models, because let's say not like a DevOps, but here we need to monitor the quality of a ML model each and every time. When your customer behavior goes wrong, let's say your customer behavior changes, that means your data changes immediately. You need to retrain your pipelines. So that's where the problem comes. And again, still similar DevOps challenges will be here. Application availability we check in DevOps. Similarly, the model availability we need to check. Auto scaling issues will be there. So let's say you might have a more traffic that is flowing into, maybe the chances that your servers might crash. Then this is where we're going to think about auto scaling, how to enable auto scaling. So those are the pretty much challenges. So we're going to discuss about all those challenges in this post deployment that we have.
Uh,
Yeah.
Hello, Sarath. Hello.
Hi, please
Hello.
mention your name and ask your question. Yes, you're loud enough. Please
This is
go.
Lakshmi. Hello.
Hi,
This is
hi,
Lakshmi. I
Lakshmi.
am completely from the information technology background, JRC.
Perfect.
So, when I switched the learning this, so how to start this the learning course means which
Okay, okay. Lakshmi, just checking like what technical skills that you have. Can you just define? Can you
I
relate
have only
anything?
No
Yeah, please
technical
go ahead.
skills. We are completely in audit field now. So we cross check the only information technology, GRC, governance and risk and compliance. Only standard of ISO 27001, NIST, GDPR. This only I have knowledge. But coming to any
Okay.
coding language, I don't know.
Okay,
Only
that's
basic
perfect.
of C in the college days, only basic of C. That's only I know.
So let's say if you have any good knowledge on Python and understanding the basics about what is machine learning and data engineering or DevOps work, I would suggest if you're not coming from any technical background, no, this is not a program for you, actually.
Okay. Thank you, Sarath.
Yeah, please go ahead, ask your questions, folks. In the meantime, let me read out some questions in the chat window. I have finished ML and AI program, and I would like to take AWS cloud. Will will it help? Okay, so biotech, yeah, I mean, so doesn't matter whatever the industry that you're talking about. So wherever we are trying to solve a problem with the data, it can be pharma or biotech, it can be any industries actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hello.
hi.
Hey, hi, please let me know your question, then you can ask your questions.
Yes.
And please let me know your name and what you do, and
Yeah,
we can talk.
yeah. This is Venkat. I have around
David.
13 years of experience into development as well as DevOps role. Uh,
Perfect. Okay.
so,
Good.
I just want to know a few things around the monitoring aspects after the deployment is done through pipeline for any model, right?
Yep.
I don't see any curriculum covering that, like Splunk, example like Splunk, the logs aspect.
Yeah. So let's say here we have a separate module for model monitoring.
Oh, okay.
So here we're going to cover all the tools. Module number 11, here we're going to cover all the tools that is specific to the cloud platforms. In terms of AWS, they have multiple SDKs that we can able to use in order to monitor your ML models,
Mhm.
and Azure GCP. So here, when we talk about, let's say, model monitoring, the Splunk is something that we can able to use, harvest the data, analyze it, right? So, but how do you monitor? What is the parameter that you need to monitor is really important, right? It's not just putting a data on a Splunk. So let's say there is something called data drift that you need to monitor. There is something called concept drift that you need to monitor. There is something called bias in your data that you need to monitor. There is a quality issues in your data that you need to monitor, right? So those are the scenarios that we want to really import, that we want to really spend at. So yes, and apart from that, because there are two modules I can say for model monitoring, because module number 11 and module number 13 also involves model monitoring. You can see that post deployment challenges, monitoring a drift using evidently AI, such other open source tools.
Okay, so is this session recorded, right? Can you share this session, recorded session to us?
Uh, you mean the current session? Okay, yeah, you will be receiving an access to these recordings by tomorrow. Yeah,
Okay.
Yes, Sarath, I
but
have one question.
please go ahead, and please
Yes,
remember, folks, because offer is going to just end on 11th of September. You just call me anytime that you want, tomorrow and day after tomorrow, on Monday, if you have any questions. Okay, please go ahead. Someone, I'm just sorry, I'm interrupting you. Go ahead, please
yes,
mention your
Sarath, I am
name.
Muhammad Sarath. I am Muhammad Sarath again. Like
Yeah,
as you shown in the previous slide, if there is any drift in the model,
yeah.
does the model needs to rebuild?
You mean retrain, right? What you're talking about? Yeah.
No, no, there is
So
drift in the model, means some errors found in the model which we have
yeah,
been monitoring. So, in
yes,
this scenario, what might be the what outcome? What a worst
got it.
outcome will be?
Okay, yeah. Basically, what happens? Let's talk about something called data drift. Okay, see, some level of data drift is okay. So basically, when we are trying to monitor your ML models, we set some thresholds always. So okay, we say that when my data drift is exceeding 20%, I need to trigger an alert. That means the threshold has been reached. That means we need to retrain our ML models. So that means what happens? We will be having some lessons always. So let's say consider that between the data drift is between 10% to 20%. That's okay. So even you will be having some quality issues, but it's okay. But let's say once let's say you were 30, it is exceeding 20%. Consider that if it is greater than 20%, this is where your problem is going to occur for your customers. Let's say, for example, let's say I'm training my ML model to predict electricity bill forecast. My drift is greater than 20%. It's going to say next month you're going to pay 1,000 rupees electricity bill, but it might be not 1,000. It will be more drift in that. I might pay somewhere 1800. There's a more worse results here, right? So the accuracy of your ML model will be deviated. So this can be a scenario where data drift, concept drift is there, biases on your data will be there, right? And there will be some mismatch with your data that your customer has, that you're trained on previously, and what you are trying to, what your customers now they are inputting on. So some multiple factors that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, what will be the worst scenario result in this scenario? What will be the
So
worst case
deviation,
scenario in monitoring? I mean,
so deviation in your results basically. So let's say the the results that is produced by your ML models, it won't be true enough to resolve the problem of your customers. You consider that I might have a model that is trained for a marketing purpose. Let's say the model is going to suggest me where I need to spend my budget, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or maybe in YouTube. Let's say my model says spend more money on Google, I might lose all my money because my data drift is more like the drift has been more than 20%, for example. That's a worst case, right? For example.
yeah, does it needs to rebuild the model in this case?
I mean, there is nothing called reveal. Basically, let's say if my drift is exceeding more than 20%, this is the time we need to retrain your ML model. See, consider that your
Okay,
model
okay,
is,
got it. Yeah, yeah.
let's say your
Thanks.
model is in a production for next 6 months, correct? Let's say for the last 6 months, you might have collected a lot of data. After 6 months, you got this drift, and if your drift is greater than 20%, and what you need to do in the next step, you need to take this 6 months of data that you have, retrain your ML model, and produce a
Oh,
new one.
okay, okay.
So again, your model will be updated with the latest data.
Oh, got it, got it. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead, folks. Ask your questions. I'm going to spare a lot of time with you guys. Okay. In the meantime, let me also answer some of the questions that I asked. Jitendra, how someone who know has a okay, someone who has switched their tech with 10 plus years of experience from non-ML or MLOps data analyst to AI and ML. Okay, see, if you are a data analyst, I cannot say that you are, I mean, out of a field. So data analyst is someone who works already in a ML industry, someone who gives insight, who builds visualization. Consider that if you are a data analyst, you'll be working on data engineering side and also post deployment of your ML models. As a data analyst, you will be collecting a lot of logs, metrics from infrastructure, from model, and you'll be telling us stories. You'll be building a dashboard, right? Yeah. So let me just answer any more questions. Please go ahead, unmute your mic, talk to me. Okay, so Jitendra is asking whether it is easy to compare to fresher to switch with 10 years of experience to data science and ML. So I didn't get your question, Jitendra. Are you saying that I'm from non-technical background, I have no technical background on data science, machine learning, data engineering, no Python programming, no any programming language, can I shift it to MLOps? No, this is not a program for you. So how much does this course cost? Let me just reveal the pricing once again. Folks, we have 3 different pricings. So we have advanced plan, which is costing 47,999, and advanced plus, sorry, which is costing 47,999, advanced plan costing 41,999, and basic plan costing 39,999 with all these different features. If it is USD, advanced plus costing 6,999, sorry, 699. For advanced, it is costing $599. For basics, $549 only. And we have this offer, which is a free upgradation offer. Let's say if you're usually working professionals, they prefer advanced or advanced plus. So if you're registering for basic by 11th of September, you will be upgraded to advanced plan completely for free. So that means by registering for basic, you'll get advanced. Similarly, let's say if you register for advanced, you'll get advanced plus. You'll be upgraded to advanced plus. That means you can get started with the program in next 24 hours because you'll be access to recordings. Okay, Steven is asking question, is this classes on Friday, Saturday and Sunday? No, Friday we don't have a class. Let me just tell you the structure. Every weekend, Steven, we're going to have a class. Let's say every Saturday, Sunday, Steven, we're going to have a live sessions. Every Saturday, Sunday, 4 hours. So let's say this, the time zone, it might be differs for you. Let's say if you're in India, it's going to start from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. If you are in EST time zone, 9:30 to 1:30. If you are from CET time zone, it's going to be 3:30 to 7:30. So that's how it works. And every Monday, you will be receiving an access to the recordings of a live session that you attended. And every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we will be having debugging sessions, which is optional to attend. Let's say during a live sessions, once we are building live projects, if you have some errors, bugs that you couldn't resolve it, you can attend a debugging session where I'm going to help you to fix the problems. Basically, that's how it works.
Hey,
Please
Sharath.
go ahead, folks. Yay, hi. May I
Sharath.
know the name? Yep.
Again, this
Yeah,
is
you're.
Venkat. I have
Yeah,
other
Venkat.
question. Regarding the sessions, right? The lab sessions. So, is that a pre-configured environment will be provided in a web browser, or we need to have the installations done in our system?
Okay, got it. See, like
Yeah.
we have cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, GCP, and
Mhm.
open source tools, right? See, what
Mhm.
happens most of the time, let's say when it comes to the cloud platforms, we'll be spending our time on the cloud. So you will be creating your own cloud accounts because every cloud platform offers a free trial. AWS offers 1 year free trial. Azure and GCP offers a free credits. So that would be more than enough for us to get started with this particular program. So you'll be creating those cloud accounts basically by yourself. And
Okay.
when it comes to open source tools, yes, few open source tools will be deploying it on top of your laptop. A minimum laptop configuration, if you have 4 to 8 GB RAM, that is more than enough to get started.
Okay.
Yeah, like few of the hi Sharath, I am Muhammad again.
Hey,
Few
Mohammed.
of yes sir. Few of the Amazon services like SageMaker and all. Does it cost
Yeah.
any billing?
Okay, so here we go. Let's say we have free trial. So maximum we're going to cover it in a free trial itself. Let's say, even though if you got some bills, no worries, because there are some tricks we can able to use to waive that bill, even if you got. Okay, so we have candidates. Let's say once the session is over, they might have failed to disable the resource or delete the resource. They have got a bills from 500 rupees in a worst case scenario. They got some huge bills and we help them to waive that bills without paying any paisa. So that's a worst case scenario. You don't have to worry, but most of the time we'll be covering things with free trial itself.
Thanks, Sharath.
Yeah, perfect.
Hi
Thank you so
Sharad,
much.
Rehan,
Please ask.
Sayed this side again.
Hey, Syed, please go ahead.
So is that free account, whether it is on AWS or Azure, is it enough to run your heavy data based model?
Yeah, that is more than enough. And again, let's say you're not going to work with, let's say, the petabytes and terabytes of data. That is not necessary to build the pipeline. So here, the MLOps, the pipeline building exercise, it's more focused to the practices, the core practices of how you build the pipelines, right? So here, let's say we are not going to specifically talk about any kind of a data, because even though, let's say you're working on a computer vision, let's say you have more data, let's say you're working on a classic models, NLP. So the pipelines that you're going to build, it's going to fit for any kind of a use case, either computer vision, NLP, because at the end of the day, it's a model. So it's going to fit on anything. And the free trial would be more than enough. Yes.
So my question is that whether I will connect through Excel or whether I should connect with the big data type of pipeline. So it will work for both type of data sets.
Yeah, so basically, let's say when you're talking about a data sets, so let's say it can be any classical model or computer vision or NLP use cases. Let me just make it clear. So the focus here when it comes to MLOps is more on a pipeline. Okay, it's not about data. For example, let's say I given a example of the
Huh?
pipeline that I built on
Baitha?
say here the focus is not to understand the abalone model, because if you are a data scientist, data engineer, you already have a good understanding on that. But what we need to understand the pipeline, and again, whether you bring the streaming data, as you're talking about, let's say you have Hadoop systems in a place where you want to do some data preparation. From that you need to fetch a data from HDFS, whatever it is, that the system's already in a place to do that. So the SageMaker or Vertex AI or maybe Azure Machine Learning Studio has the capabilities to do that.
Okay, and what else we have? If I have already, use my free account.
Got it, got it. So let's say your question is, okay, I already have a AWS account which is 1 year old, and what do I do now? So you can create
Yeah,
another account with different email address.
different email, but mobile number should be the same, na?
That's not a problem. So only email address. Let's say when it comes to example, like I can say AWS, you can use different email address but same mobile number. Mobile number doesn't matter, and you can also use the same card when it comes to, let's say, for example, in AWS.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect. So please let me know, folks, if you have any other questions. In the meantime, I'm going to answer a few questions in the chat window. In the meantime, someone is going to ask a question. Okay. Perfect. Let me just scroll down. Ikao asking a question. Okay, Ika was asking, what is separate ML engineers from data scientists? I have a skills in data collection, data processing, ML algorithms implementation. This I can build these models, train and test, and also implement a model. Can I apply a junior machine learning engineer? Perfect, Ika, you can do apply. And what is the difference between ML engineers and data scientists? Data scientists, someone purely works on let's say statistics, mathematical models, and he builds ML model, hyperparameter tuning it, all those stuff. ML engineer is someone who goes and deploys their ML model. If you see in a lot of organization, let's say when it comes to MNC's perspective, you can find different roles. There are data science roles separated, ML engineering roles separated, but in most of other organizations, they merge the role together. You'll be working as both data science and ML engineer together. That means you need to have both data science and ML engineering skills, but you need to look for a role that you're applying. Okay, so the profile called Google Ads asking a question: do we need GPUs like? No, we are not going to use Google Colab. So Google Colab is not for production, but now they are trying to introduce to production. But we are not going to use it for Google Colab because that is not it for production. Basically, we're going to use Vertex AI, which is currently used by a lot of different organizations. Perfect, folks. I'm going to spare 5 more minutes. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to share the registration links once again to you guys. So here we go. Okay, don't miss the offers. Okay, the first link is for registration. The second link is for the downloading a curriculum. The third link is for downloading the free ebooks, and below is the contact number. Please reach out to me if you need any consulting before you're getting started with this particular program. Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, so perfect. So either we might use Zoom or GoToMeeting. Yeah, so we have both. Perfect, folks. Please let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me just repeat the offer that we have till 11th of September. By registering for basic plan, you'll get free upgrade to advanced plan. So that means in advanced plan, what you get let's say access to resume preparation, 6 months of technical job support, and you can take the complete program twice. Even after completing September October batch, you can register for December October batch. Even though let's say there are price changes in December batch, you don't want to pay any additional fee. Just by registering for this batch, you can retake the program next batch also. Following that, let's say you register for advanced plan, and you get access to advanced plus. That means what you get in advanced plus plan, let's say you can get started with the program immediately. That means you'll be getting an access to the recordings in next 24 hours. That is instant access. You can get started with the program with the support. Yeah, so saying that this offer is only till 11th of September strictly. Please go ahead and book the seats. That's a minimum seats that we have already that you're seeing in a portal. So once you click on that link, yeah, few participants, already started messaging me in a WhatsApp. Perfect. Please do call me if you have any questions. Text me in a WhatsApp. You can just use the numbers that I shared in the chat. Either you contact us in either number. Okay, Amit is asking a question. I know Amit, whether she is there in the chat. So how does this upgrade happens? Let's say if you're registering for advanced plan, for example, right? Let's say if you're registering for advanced plan, so you need you will be upgraded to advanced plus, because as part of our upgradation confirmation, I will be also acknowledging you. This upgradation happens internally. So and in next 24 hours you will be receiving an access to recordings, because as part of free upgradation, I mean, to advanced plus plan, you have access to recordings. In next 24 hours, you'll be getting an access to recording. That's another confirmation. Okay. Yeah, that's how it works. So few people have started registering. Please go ahead and complete registration in before the seats are getting filled.
Yes, Sarath, I am Muhammad. I have one question.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, like true, like I like the curriculum and all. It's
Perfect.
like, but to be working as an ML ops,
Perfect.
uh, I need to be equipped with that. Equipped in that sense, I need to work on real-time projects, real-time scenarios, and with different tools. What is needed to be an ML? Will you be including that in your curriculum, and it will really support us?
Yeah. So consider that, for example, whatever the projects that we're going to build, okay. So whatever the projects that we're going to build as part of AWS, say AWS, it may be as part of Azure Machine Learning Studio. Those are completely industry based. For example, let me just open the slides. Okay, why not? I will just show you the architecture. So when I'm talking about let's say when I'm talking about the industry grade, right, what you're also mentioning, so it's the, when it comes to Azure, let me just show you an architecture of the level version 2 architecture, which is followed by every different organization. So let's say when we are trying to build the end-to-end MLOps pipeline on top of GCP, Azure, or AWS, it's the same architecture, the same tools, because let's say the tools that I'm trying to show in my curriculum, right, every different organizations, they use the same tools. Let's say an organization does use Azure Machine Learning Studio and version 2 architecture for building end-to-end pipelines. Our organizations does use Kubeflow to build the same end-to-end projects that we are going to build so far. So consider that. Let me just try to browse this architecture that we are discussing. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, for example, so here is the architecture that we go to build when it comes to Azure. Okay, so you can see this. This is the actual slide from our program. You can see this particular slide, how big it is. You can see these are the scenarios, starting from data SD to model administration and setup to model development till next comes model development loop. You can see we have all the scenarios here: staging your model, testing your model, quality assurance. Then it comes to deployment. Let's say we want to do deployment to real-time endpoint, or maybe I want to deploy to Kubernetes service. Or let's say when it comes to monitoring, we want to monitor data. You can see model and data monitoring, infrastructure monitoring. I want to do other I need to use other monitoring tools like Azure Application Insight or Azure Monitoring to monitor everything that I've deployed as part of this infrastructure, and triggering notifications once, let's say if my data drift happened, let's say I need to send a notification to back to my team, and where this loop runs again. This is the loop where automatically the models will be trained. So this is the MLOps version 2 architecture that I'm showing, which other organizations are currently being implemented, for example. Yeah.
If you
And
are,
it
yes, sir.
go ahead.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I mean to say the model which will be doing to build a pipeline, the models which are used to build the pipeline, those will be similar to the industry best industry practice.
Yes, exactly. Consider that. If you don't mind, can you just define your current experience? Maybe I
Yeah,
can define words for you.
yeah. Thanks a lot for this. Yeah, I'm basically a Unix admin, and I do work on the cloud as well, like Azure and all.
Good.
I'm bit savvy to technology, so
Okay.
I learned this machine learning. I have done, then few other stuffs like DevOps I have done.
Good.
So
Okay.
basically I'm just making assumptions. or I'm assessing. I'm making
Got it.
assessment of myself.
Perfect. Okay, here is my
Like,
question.
yeah,
If I say Muhammad, how do I say what is Muhammad does? Let's say you are learning okay something on machine learning and you say data DevOps. Where is your core experience lies? What are you really good at?
I'm
Considering
good
your
at infrastructure wise.
infrastructure wise. And what is the next things comes in the picture? Whether machine learning or DevOps.
Yeah, like I have a bit experience in DevOps. Means I know DevOps, these pipelines and
Perfect.
all everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. See, folks, this is how we evaluate a participant. This is how we suggest. Like, if you have questions, please do call me. See, Mohammed, let's say you are coming from infrastructure. You are an infrastructure person. Additional to that, you have a good experience in DevOps. And what's your current experience like in years?
Yeah, like I have around 12 plus years experience.
Perfect. Here we go. Like you have a 12 plus years of experience.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I could able to suggest for you, let's say if you are good at Python, algorithms, all those stuff, I would suggest you can be a data scientist, a senior data, considering your experience, you can become a senior data scientist. So considering your experience that you have a knowledge on infrastructure and DevOps and some ML background. So my suggestion would be ML engineer. ML engineer can be a minimum role that you can go forward. Otherwise, considering your experience, where you have a 13 plus years of experience, I would hardly suggest you to look forward for the lead positions in MLOps. That's where you will be fitted, because lead positions, I mean MLOps, lead engineer, architect, and specialist. See what they do. For example, see here as a lead position, you won't be building ML models. You don't make your hands dirty. You don't build ML models because you'll be having your own team of data scientists who will be actually building ML models. But you need to have a 360-degree view of ML ops, not AWS only. You need to have Azure, GCP, and all the open source tools that we're talking about. So you are the person who will be deploying the infrastructure. So as I'm mentioning, you are the infrastructure guy. For example, yesterday I'm discussing with one of our previous batch participants. We are decoding a resume. They're looking for a senior machine learning engineer. It's all about infrastructure. You should the role starts from saying that you will be responsible for infrastructure deployment, like something on AWS using Kubeflow. They're specifically looking for GCP anyway, something like that, basically. So you will be responsible for deploying the infrastructure, managing that infrastructure, and again, overseeing other infrastructures, like there might be a data engineering infrastructures, for example, such kind of a stuff, basically. So I guess that is where you will be fitted. And let's say once completing a program, after updating your resume, you need to look for those lead positions. But let's say if you have, okay, I'm really interested in developing models, then you need to become a data scientist. That's a different story. But I would suggest you can able to carry forward the experience that you have right now, because you don't want to erase the experience in your resume and you don't want to work as a data scientist here. You have a good experience in infrastructure, followed by that a DevOps experience. ML engineering is a right fit, and followed by that lead positions in MLOps.
Yeah. Thanks, Sarath. Thanks a lot for giving me time.
Perfect. No,
Thanks.
okay, folks, I'm going to spend few more minutes, and I know that a lot of questions are coming. If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, that's perfect. As I mentioned, please go ahead and complete a registration before we getting sold out. And we have very limited seats, and you can go ahead and you can able to check our testimonials for a better quality of our training. So the testimonials that we have shared, you can able to check that testimonial videos in the curriculum itself. Otherwise, I will share this links in a chat window. You can click on those YouTube links. You can start watching the curriculum. So for example, let's say if I just click on the first link, you will be going to the curriculum. So we have a person, Rahul, is a data scientist after completing a program. I mean, we just completed, let's say 70% of a curriculum. He started updating his resumes, and he could able to crack a job. And again, specifically, this particular organization is looking for experience in yeah, I guess something that we cannot play it here. So Dockers and Kubernetes and knowledge in deploying your ML models, basically.
Maybe you can just give some idea about what is that company that you applied for, so then we can talk about the engineering job role what they asked for you.
I applied for the AI/ML role for artificial / machine learning engineer.
Okay.
So there's also cloud part also there. So they require cloud part.
Folks, I'm just playing this video. If you have any questions, you can talk to me. I can mute the video.
Okay.
Kubernetes. And on basis of AWS, they asked me the CI/CD pipeline, how it works, and how one question is how we stop CI/CD pipeline, what is the procedure for stopping, if it is possible manually or not. So that suppose they tell me how to deploy from dev to production. How to deploy, such type of question they ask me in that video. So I give you all the questions with the help of your teaching only.
Like I'm really happy for that. Okay. I'm really happy for that. That's good. So, what's the company name that you mentioned?
So SC Technology.
SC Technology. So based out of?
In Mumbai.
Mumbai. Perfect. So you are also from Mumbai, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's good. So now you're asking questions. So now you have a 20 days of time.
Yes.
The joining date. You're asking, okay, can I just apply for other job roles like MLOps?
Yes.
Definitely, please do apply. So even if you need any insights on that, I'm very much happy to provide that. Okay. Yeah. So that's really awesome. And is there any other questions that you need to ask? So you okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Now onward from tomorrow and today, I apply based on demand.
Okay, so we have another question in the chat window. You can also check other testimonials that we have shared. You can also check for example, let's say we have a person who worked for ISRO, obviously. I'm talking about the person who works for ISRO. His name is Balasubramanian. His testimonials, and he been also placed in a new job. Okay. Okay, I'm going to answer one more question which is asked. Do we need to have a strong background in a deep learning? So the person who has a title called Google Ads is asking a question. See, so let's say if you are a data scientist, consider that if you are a data scientist, you need to have obviously deep learning knowledge, but not for MLOps, what I'm talking about. So here, our pipelines does works for whether it's a deep learning, NLP, classical model, that doesn't matter basically. But if you're saying that I'm an existing data scientist, do I need to have a deep learning skills? Yes, you need to have, because you are a data scientist. But if you're saying that I'm a DevOps engineer, do I need to have a deep learning, NLP skills? No, probably not. But having an awareness of that does matters, but that is something that we can able to provide you in this particular program.
Got it.
Yeah.
But engineering industry it was slow.
Yeah.
Got it. All that concepts able to get connected. So
Makes sense.
I was feeling empowered to take some learning on the digital transformation. Thanks for adding value to me.
Thank you so much. It's those kind words really. And let's say you can also check one more testimonial from the participant. So he's okay. I'm sorry. And we have another participant called Dhirender. He is actually a professor. And we have another participant from UK. He's already working in the AI industry. You can also check the testimonials from him. Would also give a clarity on the quality of a training. Just introducing you first of all. So maybe you can just say like what exactly that you're doing before this program. So what's your job role and what's your what you do, and then I'll ask a couple of questions regarding this. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, hello, sir. So my name is Nishit Jaiswal, and I'm working in the UK. So prior to joining the session, what motivated me joining the session was that I completed my master's in artificial intelligence.
Okay, so our batch is going to start from 30th of September, as I'm talking about. So 30th of September, but this offer that I'm talking about, the free upgradation offers ends on Monday. Yeah.
And because a lot of things are not covered in the college curriculum, and the MLOps things which is there, those are the advanced things which you will never find in a college unless you work for an organization which is working on that. So that was the one thing which I wanted to learn on most of the cloud platforms, and this course was quite good. because we were covering like all the major three cloud platforms which was there. So that was the kind of thing which excited me most about this thing. Anyways, we are going to cover all those things. And like work-wise over here, I'm right now working in NHS. So I started my actually I have been working for like almost more than 5 years. Previously working for
advanced, I guess advanced or maybe advanced plus, I'm not sure which one, but yeah. So like you have this twice the opportunity to take the program. So you have completed a, so is that really benefited for you?
Yeah, actually this way of moving forward is quite good. I mean, a lot of time it happens when we are in the course, we may lag behind on doing certain things on our end. So debugging session helps in that way that we can get go back at what we have missed and or what we were lacking and to come up based on that. So the debugging sessions, yeah, those are always helpful. And the sooner we get the things resolved,
got it. Yeah, thank you so much. And so do you find this session is informative and enjoyable? I mean, considering about the trainer who is teaching you, like, is that not boring? Like you guys are like, not sleeping. Is it fun? Like, and again, so whether like a trainer could be able to answer your questions properly, like in the meantime. So what do you feel about that? Yeah.
I but yeah, I think like most of our queries and concerns which were there, those were addressed. And yeah.
Okay, so Hamid confirms that he has completed a registration for MLOps specialization program. Hey Hamid, thank you so much. And so what happens, let's say if you have registered for advance and you will be receiving an advance plus, I will be, once session is end, so the session is almost over. Like I'm just waiting in case if you have any questions. I'm just playing the testimonials. So what happens after acknowledging in the next 24 hours, you'll be receiving an access to recordings. So I will be sharing a step-by-step instruction and audio instructions also, how you can able to get started with this recordings with the support whenever you have some questions and how to reach out to me, all those stuff. You can go through the recordings, and once 30th of September comes into the picture, you can start attending parallelly the live sessions. That's how it works. Okay. So anyway, at least 1 week before the session, you'll be receiving an instructions. Let's say what are the prerequisites that you need to fulfill before you getting to the program, like creating an AWS account, installing Dockers, Kubernetes, all those stuff. Ahmed. Okay. Perfect. I will acknowledge you.
Initially, I think like maybe I think someone from for me, like coming from like just finishing a master's program and not very much into hands-on with MLOps things. Yeah, at one stage it is might be like once we go to MLOps tools and MLOps journey and all the life cycle of it, like at first instance it's like okay, there's a lot of tools, but I think like once you get to start doing things, we get used to it. If we haven't thought of like things before, so then it becomes like okay, but when we start doing things, then it actually becomes state by state understand things.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much. And let's say, thank you so much, Dushantini. So folks, if you have no questions, you can just, you can wind up your session. Thank you so much, and hope we will meet back in our program.
And go back.
Okay, perfect. I mean, one more question that would like to answer, like if someone is looking forward for an learning option, maybe their friends are network, like who's looking forward, like do you like recommend them for our program? So yeah, that's what I just want to ask.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, I'm open to recommend a few of my friends, but like that's up to them. Like,
yeah, obviously that's up to them. I mean, so do you have that just a mindset like you have like the free in that? That's what I just want to ask. Okay, do you think like is there anything that you like to improve us? Like let's say where we can
the thing was like I won't say any improvement right now available, but in the second course, the new course which are coming up, I think like you added more into it, like another thing, which is also a good tool and quite a demanding tool, especially in the data engineering kind of domain. So yeah, I think like those things, the improvements, I think without seeing implementing those improvements yourself.
Thank you so much. So that's it pretty much. I guess you have covered most of the stuff in your yourself. And, thank you so much. Perfect, folks. Thank you so much. We have a lot of other testimonials. I just don't want to play it here. You can just check with the curriculum that we have attached, and so the more things coming. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time providing. I mean, people who have connected back with me for even for more than 40 minutes. Yeah, please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Let me just share you the details once again in the chat window. Just give me a call. We'll have a detailed discussion. So how I try to like add some clarity for Mohammed. For example, I just talked about knowing about his experience and where he will be fitted, how you can able to get started. So some side of an insights like that would definitely help. Please do call me and don't miss the offer. Thank you so much and enjoy your rest of your weekend. And hope we will connect back in our MLOps specialization program. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Sharat. देखिए